Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, happy time zone, everybody. This is Road to Dusk. You can call me Road, Dusk, anything that you would call a friend. I'm a dream musher, so I focus on sleep, dreams, and the imagination to help create an environment where we can learn to be the better versions of ourselves. And I am actually here with a good amount of company. Say hi, company.
Hello.
Hi, company.
I exist.
Look, you're the one who phrased it like that.
Look, and you're the one that decided to be a smartass, okay?
You say that like it's a choice rather than a vocation.
Alright, hold on, this is...
So to clarify who we all have here, I'm Selene Heidlman, a frequent collaborator and frequent smartass.
Yeah, and my microphone is being a little... It is picking up everybody. So...
I see.
Alright, so Selene is the one with the silver hair and the purple top. Who is the cyan dot?
It's a bunny.
We do indeed have a bunny here. Hello, bunny.
I does exist.
Then we have a System of Mist. Right now it's Serenity running, and Damona is co-running a bit.
Yeah, and we're doing things a little bit differently when it comes to the mic, because we have everyone huddled up in like one room, so we're all huddled around the same mic. So if there's any trouble when it comes to hearing anybody, or the game ends up being too loud, please let us know as soon as possible, and we will get that fixed up. With that said, for those that do not know, tonight we are doing something very special that the Mists and me, as part of the Terarbal System, have been wanting to do for a while. We're going to be playing Kingdom Hearts 2 and giving a dissociative analysis on Roxas, because today, in the US, is National DID Awareness Day. Any questions regarding like DID, dissociation, anything like that before we hop in the game?
Well, so why don't you give just a real brief overview of what dissociative is? I know you had a breakdown of it from a linguistic standpoint in the Discord, which I'm, probably going to need to... okay, fine. You're apparently on your own mod duties tonight. No, that's fine. That's fine.
If you want to do it from your phone, you can. If you're comfortable doing that.
I'm terribly uncomfortable. I don't have a chair down here. This is your fault.
I have cushions.
Wow. All right. I guess there's a cushion somewhere. Somebody update my butt.
I took it all.
Oh my god.
Of course you took all the cushion. Let me guess, you took all the pushing while you were at it.
Just get used to sitting like this, and then keep your back straight, and you'll be good. Just wear a corset for 10 years, and you'll be good.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but I can't find a corset that I can afford today anyway.
That is an absolute mood.
So,
Caffeine,
cycling...
nice to have you in chat.
Hello, not enough caffeine. It's lovely to have you.
Hello.
So, Rode, you were just about to break down dissociative for us so that the English speakers among us can also follow along with the story.
Yeah, so... Dissociative is an umbrella term that myself and our system use to be an umbrella term for the dissociative spectrum. So not only dissociative identity disorder, which used to be called multiple personality disorder, but also partial DID, other specified dissociative disorder, unspecified dissociative disorder, dissociative fugue, and derealization depersonalization disorder.
That's a lot of words.
Yep.
DID is when you have multiple people in the same body. It's a splitting of the mind space, or whatever you want to call it, the mental thing. So there's several distinct personalities. OSDD has a few different types. The one we're most familiar with is the one associated with systems, which is OSDD 1A and 1B. And that has different personalities in the system, but unlike DID, there's not as much distinction between the personalities, and there's not as much amnesia.
Yeah, if I remember right, with version 1A, it is not really distinct individuals, but more severe amnesic breaks. Whereas with 1B, it is more distinct individuals, but less distinct amnesic breaks. Because one thing with DID that differentiates that from OSDD is that DID has a constant and very rigid and very prominent space, temporal, emotional, psychological breaks from situations. Whereas with OSDD, specifically 1B, the time, space, emotional breaks are not as distinct. They're a lot more blurry.
So what we would have would be OSDD 1B. Technically. And then depersonalization disorder is a disorder where you experience, where you almost distance yourself from your body mentally. It's like almost a forced. The best way we've usually described it, because we also have that associated with our anxiety and depression, is it's like you're playing a video game, but it's your life. So it's like you're looking at your own life and through your life from like a computer screen. So there's like a distance from you mentally and real life or reality. We'd have, I think that would be technically depersonalization.
Depersonalization happens with a variety of mental health conditions, not specifically dissociative conditions. So I can understand it a little bit better because I have some familiarity with mental health for my own reasons. And that really, for me, helps describe it pretty well. And I like the video game analogy that you gave as well, how the world events are playing out, you can follow them, but they don't necessarily feel like they're happening directly to you as a person.
Yeah.
Does that kind of come close to what you were describing?
Yeah. We get that. We're also a system, obviously, and then we also, our depersonalization is associated with like depression and anxiety for us.
Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that. And then you also mentioned something, OSD, or I think it was?
OSDD.
OSDD. Okay.
Other specified dissociative disorder. So that's where the 1A and 1B come in. The 1A being not as distinct of other individuals, but the amnesic breaks are more potent and severe, more akin to DID, whereas 1B is more distinct individuals with less distinct amnesic breaks.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically we share memories in our system. So like we can remember things that other system members did and stuff like that. Though it can be kind of fuzzy for us. Rode one time described it pretty well as being like storyboarding, I think is how you described it.
Yeah, when I had points of like when my system would be sharing memories, we don't share memories completely. We more get like snippets, like storyboarding or having key frames in an animation. We don't get the full animation, we just get key points.
We get that, but also if we want to, we can dig and get the whole memory if we need to. So we can completely share memories, but like what comes naturally, and we're noticing we're getting less and less of the complete sharing and more of the storyboarding as time goes on. Used to, when we'd switch, everyone had all the memories. Now it seems like it's less distinct like that.
Okay.
Now that we're older, since this past year or so.
And so with things like OSDD and DID, what kind of diagnostic criteria do we use? This might be getting a little bit clinical, but I know for things like...
DSM-5.
Okay, so the same diagnostic manual that's used
Yeah.
for modern gender dysphoria or
Yeah.
for depressive disorders.
So you can use either the DSM-5, which is more common in the US, or if you're international, the ICD-12 is standard.
Okay.
And isn't there a new one that they added internationally that's like partial?
Yes, partial DID, because they in the ICD-12 recently They merged OSDD and DID to be under DID, so now DID is considered more of a spectrum dissociative disorder. With partial DID, I forget how they described partial DID, but it definitely rubbed us a little the wrong way the first time that we read it.
Yeah, I think we might have a pamphlet with it, but I don't want to try to find it.
Right?
Sure. And to clarify for members of the audience who don't have a strong mental health background, the DSM and the ICD are both basically long lists of, if you exhibit these symptoms, there are indications of this classification which shares these properties. It's something that therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists use in order to help understand and get a feel for what classifications to give to mental health issues.
Yeah. DSM, we know, is a diagnostic and statistical manual for mental illness or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those were kinds of the things that I would like to understand before diving into something like a series of Kingdom Hearts clips, to know what it is I'm looking for as some of this goes on. And I'm sure that you guys will clarify as things come up within this as well.
Yeah, considering the fact that, one, I know this series like the back of my hand, considering Kingdom Hearts is a special interest for a good chunk of the system. It is, for lack of better wording, wording, Kingdom Hearts is kind of a core for us, for one. Two, considering we have plenty of interjects from the Kingdom Hearts series as well, this holds a lot for us especially. So we will probably, as in like Road and the others here, are probably going to be able to say a lot more and instigate commentary a lot more easily, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, this is your show. I'm just here to kind of try and fill in the places that might be more easily missed with somebody who's familiar with the topic.
Yeah. No, I get you with that.
So.
And we can also speak like questions of anything we have about what's going on.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
any explanations.
We are plebs. Please enlighten us.
We are the normies to the weebs.
Hey now. Let's not start using some of that neurotypical language. There's very little, if anything, normal about any of us.
Before we go too deep, especially considering we do have multiple dissociative folks here, Terarbal System and the System of Mists, let's go through a quick, oh my god, Panda, you got both the first and the second, how dare. Let's go through a quick name and pronoun check for everybody. So, hi, this is Road, he, him for me.
Selene Heidlman, she, her, please.
Serenity Mist, I go by she, they, but anyone in the System of Mist will go by they, them.
And I am Bunny, and I just go with he, him.
Alright. Alright, Panda. Do that. Oh, and we're getting more dissociative trivia before we start things off. Okay.
From Bunny, no less.
Random trivia before we enter.
I mean, what I'm trying to think of like some good, do we want to say something that I have mentioned before on streams or no? Because it has been a while since I've given some facts.
Pick something that will tie in well to a segue so we can start the proper content.
Okay. In the 1970s, there was a woman named Sybil who made an autobiography with her therapist. However, sometime afterward, she had said that she had faked it. We cannot say truthfully, 100%, if she actually faked it or not. For all we know, she may have had a member of her system, and she may have still been dissociative, who thought that the best course of action to keep them safe was to lie and say that they were faking in order to get out of the spotlight. Regardless, it created a massive controversy and has led to the Western lens of DID and dissociative disorders in general being very shit, and people thinking that that most people who have a dissociative disorder or claim DID are claiming it to fake or to like fake alters and feign excuses.
We have personal experience with that.
Yeah, gatekeeping rarely makes for a better world.
Yeah.
But
We were with
What
someone
that
who thought Mid was faking about us. Lived with them. Was engaged to them.
Ooh.
that's
And-
not great.
All of us hated them except Mid.
Right.
Even Mid didn't like them that much, but put up with them.
So I
At
just
that
realized
point.
the thing that might be a problem.
Sounds like a
Worry
good
about
reason
getting
not to get married. Just
I
in
just
general.
realized the thing that might be a problem.
What's wrong?
I'm going to hear everything from like my headphones, but you guys won't. Unless you guys want to take the microphone and take it to the living room where you guys can be able to see the game.
Here.
Or
You can try holding that up to your
That?
ear and see
Okay.
if you can hear it okay.
so we're gonna start this off with a new
Or I was gonna say,
game.
we have
I want to have this be
headset
beginner mode just so that it's
that we
easier
can
to
hook
go
up
through
to
the
the-
story.
phone.
Because
Playing with
I want
heart
this to
rate
be a live playthrough while we're giving live commentary. Y'all good back there?
Yeah, we're all good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine not necessarily hearing what's going on. But,
Okay. I will skip the intro because I don't want to
You could also turn on
copyright strike.
subtitles. So we can at
subtitles
least-
are on.
Are
Here,
they?
let me,
Well, in the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I meant.
Also, I love living right next to a fire station.
I think you've mentioned that before, but it's great to mention it again.
I just get so annoyed. Oh, and I just realized people do not hear the game right now. Properties. Add that. There we go. Now you guys get to hear Jesse McCartney.
Twilight Town
Yep.
for like the 5th time. How many times does Twilight Town even appear?
Thrice, technically. End of Chain of Memory. No. 4 times. End of Chain of Memories. 358 Days Over 2, Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
If it's in Recoded, I haven't actually finished through Recoded. So if it isn't Recoded, that would make 5.
So it's technically correct.
the best kind of correct.
It's true that stuff's been stolen around town. You got scored us out of a cipher and everything.
Uh-oh.
So,
Oh, crap. I should have given you guys the Wi-Fi password.
that's not
Where's the tablet? Give me the tablet.
What?
There's an iPad somewhere.
Around telling
Unlimited
everybody
dialogue.
we're the thieves. The whole town and their mothers are treating us like the Klepto Club.
Should be in
Never been
here.
ticked off
Sorry, folks.
before.
Yes.
Just a little bit of technical difficulty with all of this.
Never. Now, what to do?
We were having too much fun.
Great. How about it? Alright.
This is an iPad?
What? What about Minecraft?
I said this is an
iPad.
iPad?
Oh, I thought you said, is this Minecraft? I'm like, what?
Set the record straight. Hey, that sounds fun. What about Cipher? First, we gotta clear our names. Once we find the real culprit, everyone will get off our backs.
Oh, the whole culprit
Oh, no.
spiel. Of,
They're gone. Are gone.
oh yeah, and just the casual, just disillusion of a word and a concept.
Honestly, like that's like the weirdest plot ever.
But you do understand what I'm saying, right? Are gone. Stolen.
You'll
Not
probably
just-
understand
The word.
how
They stole it,
weird of a
too.
concept this
What
is
kind of thief is that?
when
Cipher
we
would never
get
pull
to
that off.
the twist and the
Yeah.
end of Roxas'
All right,
story.
Time for some recon.
Let me also double check what time it is. Or how much time there is before ads.
His
Oh, looks like we have
heart is returning.
3 minutes.
Doubtless
Honestly,
he'll
whenever like
awaken
the
very
blank
soon.
words happen, you can flood in almost anything to that spot, and it will work.
No, I'm not fucking saying that. Someone fucking ding dong ditched again and went, "Our nudes are gone!"
We do need to remember if we ever do this again to figure out how to get it so everyone can hear it.
Yeah. I mean, it probably. If there was like an extension cord for like having like multiple headphones connected to the aux, that would have been good.
Yeah.
It's called a splitter. They do exist. I just don't carry one on me.
We'll just skip the scene, reaction commands. Of course, we gotta go through the tutorial.
Tutorial. Good old tutorial. That takes 3 hours to do.
Or if you could stream it to other people's devices, like through Discord.
Well, that requires you to be on the same call.
Oh,
which
wait.
will do.
Okay, so
Echo.
remember how in the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1, there's like the shield, the sword, and the staff?
Mm-hmm.
We have a similar orientation here. We have a LARPing bat that looks like a sword, a LARPing bat that looks like normal, that prioritizes defense, and then we have one that just looks like a mage staff. Which configuration do we want to go for?
The one that progresses the story most quickly, so we can
Okay.
discuss Roxas as a dissociative stand-in
Oh,
and
that prioritizes defense. No, I'm gonna go attack. Offense. Let's go. Because yeah, no, unfortunately within like the first little bit of time here, we don't get. Shit, you're asking me to kneel? How about no?
Don't leave me hanging now.
There we go.
Neil, I expect you to bow.
Yeah. You gonna let me
Maybe, baby.
parry and dodge roll this time?
Kneel, loser.
Murder him.
Why do you think I prioritized offense?
Don't leave me hanging now.
Because tutorial.
Oh! And looks like we've got ads going on for a quick bit. But thankfully that was quick.
It was quick this time, but they add up.
Oh! Oh, I forgot these fuckers!
Oh, ads playing.
Alright, I'll wait till ads are done. Let me know when ads are done.
Yeah, because I don't have any thing. So I can notify when ads happen or not.
Right.
And for those of you who don't have ads or are subscribed, thank you so much for joining us.
Yay.
It's been lovely to have you. And we're also happy to have people who are getting adverts, but they don't necessarily need to hear it as much as we like to thank you guys. So, thank you for being here.
And supporting Road for a month.
E.
Always support the road to best.
And we are still 2 followers away from 200. And when we hit 200, we are going to be planning for a karaoke stream. So if you want to spread the word for that, by all means.
Okay, ads are done.
Okay. Yeah, so you want to know something kind of funny?
What's up?
This spindly ass flippin' car noodle fuck right over here is called a dusk. there's 13 different kinds of nobodies, and this one is called a dusk.
Explain?
Each one, so this is going to be a little spoilery regarding the Kingdom Hearts 2. Each type of nobody. Oh! Gooby Doob, thank you for the follow. That means we're one away from the karaoke stream. So there's 13 members of Organization 13, hence the 13 Organization 13. Oh. So, damn it. Come on. For each member of Organization 13, there is a nobody type that kind of references the archetype that that particular member of the organization holds.
It's no
Alright,
use.
now you give me.
What? What is this thing?
And yeah, just what lovely, conveniently, like our LARPing bat just becomes a giant ass keyblade. Totally not relevant to dissociative stuff. Although I do have a theory in relation to like keyblade wielders and whatnot that actually does relate to dissociation, but that requires a lot of spoilers, especially related to Kingdom Hearts 3. And these, for context, are Sora's memories. What we are seeing right now with all the grain and whatnot,
Where am I?
this
What happened to my home?
slightly
My
is a
island?
spoiler, slightly not, because
Where'd
we
you-
will get this info coming up
Who are
within like
you?
the next hour or
It will
so.
come at you out of nowhere.
Sora's
as you
memories
continue
are
to
needing
wield
to
the
be
keyblade.
rebuilt from scratch.
That
Sora is currently comatose.
Hey, why don't you
That
come
sounds like
with
a
us?
serious
We can go to
problem.
other worlds on our vessel.
It's
Sora,
in reference
go
to
with them.
Kingdom Hearts Chain of
Especially if you wanna
Memories,
find
so
your
major
friends.
spoilers for Chain of Memories. When Sora, Donald, and Goofy
I'm
went into
Sora.
this place called Castle
I'll
of
go with you
Oblivion,
guys.
The Heartless have great fear
their,
of the
like,
Keyblade.
mainly Sora's memories
That's right.
and his
The
abilities were not
Keyblade.
only being
So,
tested,
this is the
but
key.
also broken down, not only
But the
literally
boy
when
is
it
a
comes to
problem.
his mind, but also for
We
science.
found one of the keyholes.
Because the folks that control Castle Oblivion, that being Organization 13, were trying to study Sora so that they could create an ultimate weapon.
Keyblade.
They could create their own Keyblade warrior. Skipping that bit. Yes, and we finally can save. Oh, no, not there. See, we are on the road again. Hey, Joes! Also, I just realized I don't have TTS on. Let's fix that. What's got you two chuckling back there?
I just waved. That's it.
We're just passing notes. Don't worry, teacher. We're still paying attention.
Well, one of them is kind of has to focus, so.
Focus? No. We don't
Alright,
focus.
so
Hopefully you're in a
here,
better position to read the subtitles.
here is this is just going to be a shit ton of padding, so we are more than open to just chit-chat during all this, because we have a side quest going on.
Teen alcohol. Thank you so much for the follow.
What just happened?
Why do I feel like this is caffeine written all over it? Because not enough alcohol, but the not is spelled the same way as in not enough caffeine. Thank you for the follow. That does bring us to 200. So, get ready for the karaoke stream. updates about that will come up on the
Not in the
official.
way I want to be.
Daggone. Okay, Chef's Choice Trivia.
Team 1TB here long is about to play Hoi 4 and it
Oh.
amount Twitch computer goes extra BRRRRRRRRR.
Extra burr. Sorry about that, shows. Alright, Chef's Choice Trivia. Gonna need a bit for my brain to compute for that.
Thanks for coming in all the same jaws.
What was I fucking saying? This point is a whole lot of padding because this is just a side quest of like, hey, we have friendos that want to go on a vacation together, but we need money because capitalism. So we're gonna do odd jobs to try and get the money that we need.
This game, I remember Mid
I will
ended
make
up getting
American
inspired
monarchy
by
again.
it to make sea salt ice cream at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, made sea salt ice cream popsicles. They're really
That's
good.
not me, I stopped drinking.
Is that a friend of yours, Caffeine?
Of course I know him. He's me. Oh, Caffeine stopped
don't know.
drinking. You know
Howdy,
what?
howdy.
Congratulations, Caffeine.
Yeah, congrats on the
It's a good place to
sobriety.
be.
It's me, but worse.
There we go. I can normally get that actually really swift on like 10 seconds or less. And unfortunately, we had to do this like a lot of times. Alright, but for the Chef's Choice trivia.
Game loaded by all.
Have a good one, Joes! Oh, Flark! Flark, you fucking mad lad. You better be happy with having that fucking
Bye,
bit
Katie.
sticker next to your name.
I forget, how long does that sticker last?
For a good while until someone probably beats you in the ranks, because he got number 1. Because he was the first one to drop as many as he did. For Chef's Choice Trivia, alright, fuck it, I'll say that. What the hell, Ren? Did you guys know that an echidna has 2 penises?
Wait, which one?
An echidna.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Don't snakes too? Or they have a two-headed penis.
Some snakes have hemipenises.
That.
Don't ask why I know.
I'm just assuming you have an interest in herpetology.
Herpetology.
Dollar
that's
bills,
a
why
thing,
all?
But it's not my primary focus.
Flark, you're a fucking mad lad, I love you. Ah, so close to the sub 10. Alright. I am unfortunately going to have to do this a lot, so if there's anything that you guys just want to randomly bring up topic-wise, like, please do so.
We should try it. We could try to start some of the conversations on dissociation
Yeah, I feel like that would be good.
and individual experiences of dissociation.
Yeah.
Also to like spice up a little bit
Well,
with
I'll be
gameplay,
drawing
just
while
try the
listening to
other
you.
two.
Ooh, what you gonna be drawing, Flarg? But yeah, what do you guys feel like would be good, like, start on for topics on dissociation? Because I know we defined, clinically at least, a lot of dissociative aspects, especially for diagnostic means.
We could potentially start with some of the vocabulary oftentimes used by those who are dissociatives.
Yeah, that could be good.
Which, in general, dissociation means to pull back. So if someone says they're dissociating, that can mean something akin to depersonalization, or like usually when we use it, usually it means like we're experiencing like depersonalization at some level, and we're kind of almost pulled back from reality for a bit. In just a general term, I don't know many people who use just say they're dissociating, or they're in other terms when like it's something else. Usually what I've heard is they'll use like, I'm dissociating, or I'm dissociated right now
More
to
like
mean,
experimenting with certain
depersonalized,
styles
but
and
then
try
like
to
if
figure
they're
out how to use
switching or
masking
something, we'll
tools.
say something specific to that, like, oh, I'm in the middle of a switch, or etc.
Also, if y'all need like more plushes, you can take some from over in the pile.
Yeah, it's fine. I guess another one would be fronting. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, fronting is a concept for like when you have someone in the system who is like, I guess, the most grounded and aware and connected to the body. Like,
It's
that-
basically the one who is in control.
yeah. Like, I feel weird with saying like in control because unfortunately there have been a lot of cases to where folks accidentally or purposefully will use terms such as like controlling to imply to, especially in regards to like Final Fusion, they like the implications. People that don't know any better may use the term of like controlling or taking control in a very negative way. Like they may imply that like altars that they don't like or hostile altars are controlling the body and environment and making things worse.
Then how about it's the one at the cockpit?
Yeah, that I think that's a good way to go at it.
I was gonna say like another thought would be like the leader.
Yeah.
So, well, not necessarily the leader, because, like for instance, our host technically is mid, but, that doesn't mean like mid is fronting all the time.
Right.
So it's more like the person at the cockpit. It's the one with the controller.
Yeah. While the host is more often while the host may front most often, it doesn't mean that the host fronts all the time. There are still chances to where someone else can front, and the host can change.
Mm-hmm. And there's also, which the host is usually, the main person who fronts in a system typically, or the one who is kind of considered the, how would you put that?
Some people use the outdated term of like the original, which calling the host the original, while that may happen in a lot of cases, in cases of like say the Terarbals, my system, our original no longer exists. So the correlation of like the host equals the host is not always 1-to-1.
Yeah. So it's usually just the main fronter, I think, is usually what's considered the host. Would you say that's pretty accurate? We do have our original, I believe. That would be Mid, who's also happens to be our host, but some people will even still have their original, but the original may not be the host anymore. It switched.
So what does the host mean then?
The host, another way that I kind of think of the host is that they are the mascot. They are the one that fronts and interacts with the world most often, especially in times when there is a host for a system and the host doesn't know that they're part of the system. They really are the mascot. They are the face. They're the one that physically is kind of meant to help interact with the world, with the others only interacting, or primarily interacting only when it's necessary.
How I worded it was they're the main fronter.
Yeah,
They're the one who fronts usually the most often.
I don't know why, but like, just Power just come to mind.
Oh, like the everyone like bringing their mechs together to make the Megazord?
Yeah. That's what comes to mind whenever like multiple people are like controlling one thing. Because as far as I remember, the Megazord doesn't really change much from different forms of it. but different people controls the Megazord.
Yeah.
I guess another. Try to think of another vocab word would be switching.
Yeah.
Which switching usually just means when one alter is fronting and then a new one takes over, or starts fronting instead. It's literally what it sounds like. It's a switch between who's at front.
Yeah. There is also the concept of co-fronting, meaning that you can have multiple folks in a system fronting at the same time. There can be slight, like, I guess micro switches here and there on like who is having more control of the body, or like more imaginatively speaking, like who's the one at the mic or who's the one at the controls. Because depending, like, from system to system, all this can change. But you can have, when you have multiple folks that are co-fronting, you can have one person that's prioritizing movement, one person that's prioritizing speaking, one person that's prioritizing what to say.
Yeah, or you can sometimes have someone who's fronting, who's like controlling, not controlling, but the one who's operating the controls. But then you can have someone who's co-fronting that is kind of telling them what to do.
Yeah.
So while only one is technically operating the body, the other is contributing or stuff like that.
Kind of like a mentor-mentee thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get that Violet does that a lot, because Violet will put up the helps is like, we call her our mask. Helps like mask a lot of our traits and give up like a public front, while so she will take operate the body a lot while someone else is doing kind of the thinking.
Yeah.
So that's how she co-fronts a lot.
Bird, come here. There we go.
Try to think of other terms people might not know that we use a lot.
I would say probably blurry, like feeling blurry or fuzzy.
Oh yeah, that means you don't know who's fronting completely. Like, right now it's Serenity, but there's someone else kind of co-fronting with me, but we're not sure who, so they're kind of blurry or fuzzy. We have our suspicions, but we aren't sure. And sometimes when someone's co-fronting, they don't always want to say who they are. That's also a thing.
Yeah. Like, I have had so many situations to where it's like, I've had comments of like folks in like my system, and for laughs I call it a ding dong ditch. Like when they want to say a thing but they don't want to be known, so they just like come in super quick, say a thing, and then pop out.
Oh, like with what happened earlier?
Yep. Although that was Ren, I figured out that was Ren. And me has like, they have no shame.
Do I want to know?
Okay, for the record, like, Ren is not really that... Ren's not lewd. Ren was just saying that to be funny.
Okay, I still don't know the context.
The, when the cutscene was going on to where everyone was like, our gone! And it's like, Bunny made the comment of like, you can put anything in the blank space, and Ren decided to say, our nudes are gone!
Sounds goofy. Yeah, and I'm trying to think of any other words we use. Co-fronting, we've covered.
I did go. I did also. For those who do not know, there is an official Discord server. I'll shout out that again in a quick sec. I did recently put some words in there. Serenity, do you want to go through those words in case there's any that we haven't discussed?
Oh, here's my phone.
I gotcha.
Thank you, Bunny. Alright.
Come on.
I think we need to get at least 250, I believe. Was it 250 or 400? How much do I have?
All
Oh, I have 1,500. I am more than fine. I have done this more than enough times.
You need all the money.
Where would it be? Do we have a
In the
dictionary?
English learning tips.
English tips. Oh, here it is.
Yeah. Oh, alter.
There's a lot of stuff in here.
Alternate personality or identity. We sometimes use it, though lately we've been using more like headmate or other a lot more compared to alter, but we do use alter a lot. Some people don't like it though, so if someone refers to their own headmates as alters, feel free to, but not every system will like that use of the word.
Right. Yeah, it's why there are alternate, like, there are other terms such as system mate or head mate.
Yeah. Fragment.
You rookies still don't understand what it takes
Yeah, so
to be a true hero.
fragment, so while alter, system mate, head mate, all those can be umbrella terms, they can also be specific terms to talk about individuals that have a complete sense of individuality and identity, with different likes, dislikes, gender identity, things like that. Fragments do not have that sense of individuality, but they do still have a purpose, and they are namely derived by their, for lack of better phrasing, their prime directive.
Or are you too cool?
Oh, we have a full care package.
Keyblade.
So everyone gets something to drink, have some food, get some stretchies in.
Did you find her? I still can't believe it. It really flew. Wait till I tell Kite. I wonder if she'll
Oh yeah, we have that chocolate I gave y'all.
Probably not.
Ooh.
Or, well, we did.
Yeah.
I'm searching too.
I mean, we have a lot of stuff.
Don't lose sight of it. Sora, where are you going?
Let's see.
I'm gonna go look for my friends.
And also, I will say, if there's anyone in chat that thinks that there is,
Well, where
if you have any questions or anything that you think could relate to dissociation in the dissociative spectrum, feel free to ask. This is definitely the time and space to ask and to learn.
Integration.
Yes. You want to explain that one?
From what we understand of it, we haven't used it and haven't had it happen. It's basically when alters fuse. So like you'll have two separate personalities, they fuse into one. And so that, say you had 5 in the system, you had an integration, so now you have 4 in the system. But that's how we understand it, but we've never had it happen to us.
Yeah, our system has definitely had a lot of integrations. Like, in the beginning, we had a lot more people, but they have integrated a lot. And frankly, integrations don't always mean that they are only just the sums of their parts. While you can have integrations that are similar to, like, say, the various kinds of fusions in Steven Universe. You can have types of fusions that lead to their own personalities and different identities, things like sardonyx. Or you can have integrations that are very unstable. You have 2 still very distinct individualities that are fighting for control, such as Jasper and Lapis. God, that makes me want to actually take a dive through Steven Universe.
Oh boy.
Internal self-helper.
Yes, so that is a new-ish kind of term to be an umbrella for basically identities within a system that prioritize trying to help within the system. Hence, internal self-helper.
Hey,
They kind of,
Morning.
yeah, kind of in the name.
Gatekeeper manager.
Yeah. My system definitely prefers the term
Hello,
manager,
Roxas.
but gatekeepers are a type of internal self-helper that
I
focus
wanted to meet you
on,
at least once.
especially in our case with Nimue, focusing on maintaining the structure of memories and muscle memory for everyone. Being sure that like muscle memory is easily accessible for everyone, while also
You wanna go with
helping
us?
to distinct memories and trauma where necessary.
Kind of
Did you
like
just see
a
it?
inspector to a building.
Yes.
Caretaker.
He's stalling.
Caretaker is an internal self-helper that prioritizes
Okay?
basically the emotional, psychological, and other forms of care. Many think like the mom friend, but literally the mom friend is there with you at all times. That is very much like Imogen in our system. She is very much a caretaker.
In our system, that would probably be Hazelyn. I'm not sure if we have really the managers.
That's something I feel has to be established. At least I could very much be wrong. From our experience, that is something that has to be worked on within the system. You have to create that organization.
Yeah, we have it to a lesser degree, but it's nothing like what yours sounds like. Because we just have like, for instance,
Who's that?
I guess Scarlet would be
They've
ours,
already crossed
but
the
she's
line.
also kind of a protector
Find a
kind of
weapon.
thing.
Yeah.
So we have those who kind of are starting to step up and help like keep things from getting so chaotic now that we're getting bigger,
Yeah.
but not to the same degree that yours is because our
Right.
system works differently.
Yeah.
Um,
And one thing to bear in mind is that no individual within a system is only stuck with one role. You can have multiple roles within a system.
Yeah. Protector.
Protectors, basically the ones that prioritize protecting the body and the system in some way. And there's many forms of protecting, such as like virtual, physical, social, emotional, sexual.
They're kind of like bodyguards, kind of.
Yeah.
Trauma holder.
Those.
Question to the systems: Are
Oh.
you born a system, or does something happen to make you a system?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see, are you born a system or does something happen to make you a system? There have been some psychological theories that from the majority of research, it is said that severe trauma, namely within the formative years between ages 6 and 10, that lead to dissociation, to the point of the dissociative spectrum. When it comes to the theory, if you are born a system or born dissociative, there is a theory that does try to imply, I forget the specific psychologist that had brought up this theory, but I believe his license was revoked due to medical abuse. Don't quote me on that. This is all fuzzy right now. I would have to pull the info and find it myself. But this psychiatrist or therapist, whichever, I forget what his license was under, but he did claim that one's identity is born broken, and it takes through the formative years and interacting with nature and nurture that your identity is integrated within itself to create one individual.
That low key sounds like Freud.
He may have been Freud inspired, but I don't know. This was very recent.
Yeah, but anyway, that can be definitely debated. I know we, our first alter, which would have been Cat, came around when we were around 13. So, we genuinely don't know why she came around. There wasn't anything significant, other than puberty, nothing significantly traumatic around that time.
Well, at
Other
the
than
same time, like,
going through
while
puberty as a
you-
trans person, I guess, could be considered traumatizing, or developing depression, I guess, could have been considered traumatizing.
right, because also, like, trauma, you don't need to have a certain kind or certain level of trauma, because every brain and what they deem is enough or too much is different. So, like while I understand like the idea of like I don't know why this happened, at the same time be mindful of your wording, because like you could accidentally be invalidating yourself for other folks, because like trauma is trauma, and if it leads to dissociation, it leads to dissociation. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's just we don't we don't know what was going on at that time. The most traumatic things would have been puberty as a trans person, or the development of depression. So, nothing external happened that we know of.
Yeah. As for us, though, our first member of the system definitely came up around, like our first extra, I should say, outside of our original, who's no longer with us, came around when the body was like 6 or 7. And unfortunately, that does relate a lot to, unfortunately, witnessing and being victim to a lot of abuse at home.
But to move on to that, trauma holder.
Yeah, trauma holder, those that hold specific traumas, like for an example, someone in our system who's just now given me consent to talk about this, Kagi. Kagi is a trauma holder in regards to ERP and abuse in relation to that.
I am a trauma holder, but I'm trying to remember what the trauma hold is. We have a few of us are trauma holders.
Oh yeah, we have plenty of us here that are trauma holders. While Imogen is a caretaker, she is also a trauma holder in regards to us being forced to be a babysitter for a niece that we were not emotionally prepared for.
Yeah, and I think we told you what I'm a trauma holder of. We told someone, but I cannot recall what exactly it was, because I always have the memories. I can't remember which ones Mid forgot.
That is fair.
So that's why I'm not sure what exactly I hold, because Mid's forgotten them, but I've never have, so I don't know which one it is.
I can't jump in the VC,
but
but I can vibe here in chat. Hi guys.
Oh, we got the Vitoras in here. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I think right now just having the Mists, Bunny, and Selene in VC will be okay. But if there's anything that you feel like that you guys can add regarding like dissociative perspectives, like by all means. Also, who is fronting and pronoun check for the Vitoras? Because I saw Fang and Fenry were up a little bit ago.
Want to ask you a question?
Oh, what's up?
Fang is
Basically,
front, but Iana is the one typing.
For
I
trauma
know no RN.
holders, are they allowed to be up front, or is it rare occasions?
Wait, what's up?
For trauma holders.
They can front. At least in our system, all of us can't do front from time to time, and even so, trauma holders will be fronting.
Yeah. Everyone has the ability to front, but if there's any barriers or boundaries regarding a specific individual not being able to front, that is something that is designated within the system.
Persecutor.
Persecutor, oh boy. Persecutors are Fang is fronting, but Aeona is the one typing in co. Okay, fair enough. So persecutors are. It's a little hard to describe, because when I talk about persecutors, I tend to focus on maladaptive protectors, which are a kind of persecutor. So maladaptive protectors mean well in trying to protect the system, very similar to like other protectors, but how they execute things is often accidentally harmful, if not to themselves, then to the body, other members of the system, or the outside world, and like friend groups. Persecutors. Hold on, this is a QTE. Here we go. Better question. Serenity, do you and your system experience anything with persecutors or no?
Not as far as we can think of. No. We have Hyde, who's kind of maladaptive, but I wouldn't know if he's a maladaptive protector. He's just very animalistic in nature.
More feral?
Mm-hmm. He literally is a feral.
Okay.
So he's very like crude and rough and tends to be very animalistic, as we said. But the next one was maladaptive protector.
Yeah. Which we kind of already described.
Yeah, so hostile alter.
Hostile alters are probably when people think of, like, people that don't know a lot about DID may immediately think of hostile alters. And hostile alters especially are what people tend to use when they are faking DID to put an excuse on. Hostile alters, they do exist, and they are alters that are hostile in nature in some way, either to the body, to the system, or to themselves. Or even to, again, the outside world. They are hostile. They are hurtful. Some of them can be very manipulative. Others may be hostile as a trauma response. Regardless, they still do a massive amount of harm. And again, unfortunately, when people that don't know DID interact with a hostile alter and they've only interacted with a hostile alter, they often assume that alters and headmates are only hostile. So it leads to a massive misconception that, again, all alternate personalities are just evil or hurtful. Think like how some people have also misunderstood Jekyll and Hyde. The assumption that only the host or the original is the good and the alter or what has been conjured is the bad.
That's where Hyde got his name, from Jekyll and Hyde. What's back?
So for the persecutor and non-active protector, are they like kind of like allergies?
Are they kind of like what?
They like overreact.
Yeah, they. At least from my system's experiences with our persecutors and our maladaptive protectors, especially I'll say with like Yasha, he is an act first, talk later individual. And at least from our experience with our persecutors and persecutors that we've known from other systems, that tends to be a bit of a theme.
Another one is you might want to explain what a feral is.
Fair point. I feel like you may have a little more. I feel like you'd be able to describe that more, because while Yasha's only feral when it comes to loot stuff. He's not like feral.
Basically,
The boss that was dropping his head.
a feral, from what we understand, is an alter who's just very animalistic. They can be, they can either be like literally animalistic, or they can't have like human thoughts and be more. I don't know how to describe it other than more human. Like they're not pure animal. So like, they're not just ran by instincts kind of thing. Or I think I can say a feral probably could just be run by instincts, but our experience with Hyde is he's not completely.
We
but
have
he
two
is very
persecutors, one of which is doing
forward.
much better than he
He's
was,
very
and
like
the other who
blunt,
seems to be appeased and
and
asleep for now,
My
but she
name?
did
very,
a lot of damage before this point to our relationships.
instinctive in nature is kind of the saying.
Mm.
He's-
Fang and Aona just made a point. We have two persecutors, one of which is doing much better than he was,
But if no one tells
and
him,
the
they'll
other
see.
who seems to be appeased and asleep for now, but she did a lot of damage before this point in our
You're
relationships.
that pickpocket.
Yeah. But so our experience with a feral so far is very animalistic in a maybe even a stereotypical sense,
Strike a pose,
and
How's this?
That's totally
is-
perfect, you know?
but he can control himself to a degree. We weren't sure at first if he could or not, but he does have control, so
Jumpsuits are gone, you know?
we don't have as much of a
Cakewalk.
issue with him now that
What
we
are
know
those
that.
things?
Outsiders, that's what.
It's
And if they don't wise up to the rules
I think
around
it's kind
here,
of hard for us
I
to
might
describe.
have to take disciplinary measures.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately,
Always
we
looking after
don't
the town,
have
you know?
any. We don't have any straight up like fully feral folks in our system. Imogen used to technically, because Imogen is
Wait up.
actually an interject of one of our first
Checking
cats.
it out at the tournament tomorrow.
We'll be
Yeah.
ready, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that should be another set that we should define: interjects, fictives, and factives.
Yeah.
You want to start off with that?
I think you have more experience. The only one we have is Meliada, but she's actually a spirit, so
Right. Like she's a little more of a traveler, I guess you could just
Yeah.
say.
yeah, that's basically what she is.
But yeah, when it comes to interjects, interject is
Only the
an umbrella
Keyblade
term
Master can
for
open the
fictives and
secret door.
factives. Interject is
Change the world.
an identity, an alter, a system
I'm
mate
not gonna
that
betray Sora either.
comes from a source. Fictive means that they are inspired or come from a fictional source or a piece of media, which can include live action fiction, or effective means that that come from and are inspired by an actual identity in someone in the real world. Like for example, we knew someone that had an interject Markiplier. So unfortunately, it does make interjects of legit celebrities and well-known personalities can make conversations a little difficult,
But
but
we'll never forget each other.
with the lens of understanding like interjects, and also that
Our hearts will
no
bring us
one
together again.
purposefully means to like create an interject of like a facet of a well-known personality like Keanu Reeves or Sean McLaughlin. It's never on purpose. Dissociation
Does
is
seeing
never
your
on
source
purpose.
ever cause a ton of dissociation
Yeah,
distress for you guys?
And then was there another one?
Well,
Interject.
let's see. Does seeing your source ever cause a ton of dissociation or distress for you? Yes, and that actually happened for us during the VR chat Try Not to Laugh stream that happened a little bit ago. We were watching a funny video. One of them was a set of clips regarding Grog from Legends of Vox Machina. When there were points where Scanlan will pop up, because we have Scanlan in our system, normally he keeps to himself, but hearing, and this varies from individual to individual and system to system. Scanlan felt like coaxed to front because he was hearing himself and also hearing comments related to the version of himself from the Legends of Vox Machina by others that we were streaming with. And he wanted to talk. I did not feel comfortable with that at the time, so I was trying to fight the switch then. Whereas in contrast, Vaxildan, when Vax hears himself from like Legends of Vox Machina, it makes him feel a little dysphoric because when he tries to front, he can never really get our voice to fit well enough to where it feels like his voice. So like while he feels coaxed to front because he is hearing himself as he is, like how Liam O'Brien does him, it's also very bittersweet considering the fact that he can't, the body, our body is not Liam's. We cannot do the exact same voice that Vax has. So it really varies from individual to individual.
Just trying to think. Something I wanted to comment on, but I can't remember it.
Oh no!
There's a...
Working on it.
Yeah, it's going blank.
Serenity.exe has stopped working.
Yes. We've... But, no, what was it? Yeah, it's interesting that we don't have any fictives, but never developed one, so... We do have some that are named after, like, characters, but that's just because we like the name.
Right.
So, like, Hyde after Jackal and Hyde, because it reminded us of being out of control, kind of like Hyde, and he kind of liked the idea.
Right. It's more an inspiration,
Yes.
not so much of this is who I am.
Yeah, or we've recently had two that are twins take on the names Shinue and Shizue, which Shizue is from, both of them were kind of inspired by Shizu from, That Time I Got Reincarnated by a Slime. They liked the name and they decided they wanted it. And then we have, oh yeah, and the next one was going to be Little and Middle.
Oh, yes. So, littles can be both a cat, an umbrella, and a specific term, much like a lot of terms here. Little can be used to describe either any alter that is under the age of 18, or, to be more specific, those that are under the age of 13. In contrast, you have middle, that is used for littles that are between the ages of 13 and 17.
Okay, here's another question, is how do you determine non-alter's age?
That depends on the individual. Some don't really care about their age. They can just define themselves as adult, young, whatever, because also age and how someone changes age and matures within a system varies from individual to individual. And it especially gets complicated when someone is an age slider.
Or, and I feel like having different ages in your system can make relationships complicated too.
It definitely can.
And then middle.
Yeah, I just described
Okay.
middle, those that are littles that are in between the ages of 13 and 17.
Okay.
Hey, sorry about yesterday.
And we've reached the end of the
You need to learn
the
to
list.
get a lot on my mind.
Yeah. If there was anything that you guys feel like that we didn't describe all that well, want clarification on, anything else that you think may relate to dissociative spectrum, feel free to ask away. Fang, Aona, I know if there's anything that we've said that you feel like hasn't clarified anything or been referencing of your experiences, please feel free to chip in.
Oh.
Ready, Roxas?
6 Raiders Pro.
Oh! Why?
Just raided
Nice to have you in, hon.
What just happened?
We just got raided by Blythe.
Oh,
An absolute sweetheart, non-binary succubus and BDSM educator. So please be sure to give Blythe some love. I will shout you out in just a bit, or if Selene, if you can give her a shout out when you have the spoons, that would be much appreciated. Fuck you, hater. For those that are just popping in, hi, this is the Road to Dusk. You can call me Road Dusk, anything that you would call a friend. I am the Dream Usher, so I focus on sleep, dreams, and the imagination to help create an environment where we can learn to be the better versions of ourselves. And tonight, well, today in general is the National DID Awareness Day, DID being Dissociative Identity Disorder. So what we are doing here is we are...
Roxas! Not even friendship
Let me
will slow
get you
this
there.
kid down,
Oh.
and Hayner put up a great fight
Thank you,
too.
Bunny. What we are doing here is that we are doing a live playthrough of Kingdom Hearts 2 while also using this, specifically Roxas' story, which we're not at a good part quite yet, to talk about the parallels of Roxas' story and DID and dissociation. If you don't mind me asking, Blythe, is there anything that you know about dissociation, DID, dissociative spectrum, anything that you would like clarification on? I am more than open to repeat things, because we have gone through, we've just been having a lightning round of words and definitions that we put in our Discord server as of recent, which, if anyone wants to hop over, Bunny, could we get a link for the Discord?
Yeah.
Thank you. If you guys want to
Which
keep
one
up...
is DID?
DID is Dissociative Identity Disorder. It used to be called, and technically is still called in some places, Multiple Personality Disorder. Officially in the DSM, actually, it stopped being called Multiple Personality Disorder by 1994. But I believe in some places, namely Australia and the UK, still calling it
yeah, I had a
Multiple
sub
Personality
with that.
Disorder is still relatively common to call it that way.
Did we ever define a system?
No, we didn't actually. How would you want to describe a system?
Basically, a system is just someone who has multiple headmates, members of the multiple people in their head, however you want to put that.
Yeah.
Usually we use alters, so multiple alters.
Yeah.
More than one personality is in the same body, basically, is a system, and the system refers to all the personalities coalesce kind of thing. So like we're the system of mist, so all of us go by mist kind of thing. But then we have but from what we understand, the idea of it being called a system is it's a bunch of parts that move together, kind of like a system is made to operate together. It's made of many parts that go together and create kind of life or whatever we'll call it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the host is... A lot of people tend to combine host and original, which I mentioned this like for a quick bit earlier, but the host and the original are not always one-to-one. For example, in our system, our original, who was the host for the longest time until Nobodies was like age 12, that person now no longer exists, like completely. Her memories, her aspirations, everything has been fractalized and been dispersed throughout the system.
And there is a body age, and each alter can be a different age.
Yep. There's the body's age, and those in the system can have a different age, which we were talking a little bit about that when we were bringing up the topic of littles. Because while Blythe, I know you know about like little space and things like that, which a lot of people may misidentify as things related to BDSM, but still important to know regardless. There are littles and middles in systems, and yeah, how to define an individual's age within the system definitely varies. Some people know and sense their age from the beginning. Some people can mature gradually, like with the body. Some are age sliders. Age gets complicated, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like, we don't really have exact ages. Like, most of us are the same. We consider ourselves the same age as Mid is. Or we'd just say we're an adult. But we do have now
one little,
This town
and
is
then
its creation, right?
that's kind of
Which
it.
means we don't have time for a Q&A.
But
You're
we
coming with
don't
me,
really
conscious
give
or
like
not.
numbers to
And
ages
you'll get the
because
story.
we aren't really familiar with like what would be what would even make someone a certain age. So age is just a very weird concept for some of us, so we just don't use it. Weird concept other than if you're going by literal years.
Right.
To be clear, like when we're looking at like how a person changes at certain ages, we have no clue because we're not around kids or anything. So how's a 5-year-old supposed to act compared to a 7-year-old? We don't know. They're both kids.
Right.
That's why what we mean when we say that. We know adult, we know kid, and that's kind of it.
Right. Also, we just had a bit of an example of something that can sometimes be considered dissociative. This dialogue that we had here between Roxas and Axel was talking like he knew Sora, which he does, but Roxas has little to no memory. So he was very confused, asking what is going on, how do you know my name, all of this stuff, because often among dissociative folks, someone else like maybe fronting and maybe asking like, how do you know my name or the body's name?
So it
I do
was.
not know you.
Yeah. Not sure if we've done that specifically, but we've definitely had instances where we were talking to someone and they knew something we didn't or something like that. That we not should have, but like one of us knew, but it hadn't gotten transferred yet.
Also, that right there, I feel like was a good like visual representation of like dissociation, or like more so overstimulation. Where you had Axel and Diz both trying to get Roxas's attention, but like everything around Roxas was going like very fuzzy. Everything was getting distorted. He was getting overwhelmed. And sometimes that can also happen in dissociation. Sometimes you can get overwhelmed to the point to where someone else takes the mantle and ends up fronting.
Or we get overwhelmed because too many are awake and in the same area, so we can hear them all.
Yeah.
And then it gets really weird because like it's hard to function when you have like 3 or 4 voices talking to you.
Yeah.
Which actually we had to expand our system, like our headspace, because of it kept happening. Because when we had 6 new develop, there was way too much noise constantly, and it was getting really overstimulating for us.
Right. Oh, looks like we got ads going on.
Okay, when we get back from ads, we probably talk about headspace.
Yeah, I think that would be
Probably a good idea.
Get all. Yeah, I want that equipped. There we go. Oh wait, no. Oh, all these were already equipped. Fuck. Equip it. Oh, all of them are equipped. Okay. Wait, are they equipped? Yeah, no, they have the E on them. They're saying they're equipped. Okay.
Oh no, not equipment.
Why did I enter that competition? And why is everyone giving me the cold shoulder? Poor VV. Did either of you play Final Fantasy IX?
No.
VV's from Final
The
Fantasy
only
IX.
reason I know about VV is from a indie game developer that made the game Super Smash Flash 2. And in that game, they called VV Black Mage.
Ah. Contests are kind of like flipping a coin. Let's have a go at it, shall we? Keep it clean.
So that's like the only reason I know.
BTW, are you on the right mic? You sound echo EY. Just wanted to be sure OBS hasn't baited you.
Let me double check if. I hope that it's not. It may. From my end, I'm not seeing that there's two of me, or like it's not registering both. Oh, it may be that the game audio was being duplicated, because I just realized that. But what we have at the moment for the mic, it's probably going to sound echoey because we have one mic that has a surround, so it's able to pick up a lot of people at once. So it may be that, because also my office and where I am right now does not have all that great a soundproofing.
Yeah, it's a decent amount, but it has some.
Yeah. But yeah. Hopefully that just fixed up at least the game audio a little bit. You know what, actually, why don't I do that? I'm gonna remove you just out of safety. Okay. Also, it looks like we have about 30 minutes before the next round of ads.
Yeah, it seems like we're back from
Yeah.
ads.
Okay.
So headspace.
Again, it varies on system to system. There are some, like I would not be surprised if folks with like oh, Blythe, thank you for the lurk. I would not be surprised if like systems that say have aphantasia struggle with having a very defined or imaginative headspace. I know, like, for an example, not to put you on the spot, Vitoras, but I remember you guys saying that your guys' headspace is more of like a void, because you guys suspect that you guys may have aphantasia as well. In contrast, for us, the Terraballs, that being Road and everyone else over here, excluding the Mists, obviously, have a relatively in-depth headspace, to the point where we also have something that's called an inner world. We have a spot where everyone like interacts and like does their own stuff outside of obligations in the real world. So, yeah.
We have recently expanded ours a bit. Because used to we'd imagine it like a house. Now we also have the outside of the house. And we expanded the house. So like we have like woods, we have an area that's like volcanic, we have like a lake and streams, and then we have a cemetery, and stuff like that. So as we've grown, had to expand just to keep from getting overwhelmed all the time from everyone being awake. And now everyone kind of does their own thing, whenever they're not out, because they don't have to be like sleeping all the time, because before, if they were awake, we'd get overwhelmed.
Would the best example be like the body is like a plot of land, the headspace is like the building, and inside the building is roommates, which are the alters and headspace people.
Only 3 days left of summer vacation, so don't even mention that assignment.
But we agreed we'd get it finished today.
Part of me feels like that works. It's a, well,
Feels like it could work. Also feels kind of weird to think about.
Right. I mean, so it's funny how you do mention that because
it's like a campus, I guess.
Yeah, that might be a little better because there are like some systems that do see like their systems as very familial, and like that's more something that they do as a system for like better communication and stuff. But like the fact that you like use that as like an allegory or a hyperbole is pretty ironic.
Lots of people are helping out.
Yeah, I'd say it's almost. I'd say the headspace for us is almost like if you ever like as a kid like created your own like little world
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that. Like, say you made a map of your own little world. It's like that, but for us anyway, because a lot of us are associated with different things, this inner world has different things that we like. So, like, for instance, Serenity, me, I am very water based, and so we often describe me as a water spirit. So I tend to be in the lakes and the streams. Anna we call her a phoenix or a fire salamander. She's in the caldera of a volcano where it's hot. And then, like, Scarlet kind of just roams the volcanic area. Then, like, Xavier tends to be in the woods. Kristoff tends to be in the cemetery. So does Meladius. So, like, we each have our own almost habitat, so to speak.
Mm.
It is now. Come on, we can all go.
So, hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it does to me. Then again, same brain cell.
Yeah.
I want to have this scene going because I want this to be pertinent because we're going a little faster in this than I thought. So I want you guys to remember this scene because I feel like we're actually going to get to the beginning of Sora's story relatively quick. I want you guys to memorize this.
Speedrunning it.
So, for context, because I skipped the cutscene for this, when Roxas won that competition, there were 4 orbs on the winning trophy. All 4 of the orbs were split among the 4 of them, Roxas, Hainer, Pence, and Olette. But, Roxas had gotten ambushed by the guy, not Axel, but another person in a black coat, and he ended up losing his orb. So while everyone else was able to have this sentimental moment of like looking at the light beam that was going through their orbs because they are made of glass, he couldn't.
Which one couldn't?
Roxas.
Oh, okay.
Eat.
Dang, only an hour and a half went by.
Yeah, and gameplay wise, only an hour 15. Hour 15-ish. Hold on. I want to actually count this. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And the map is. No, was that not the right one? Spooky steps. Oh, we already checked out the spooky steps. Okay, fine. Wait, what are the other ones that we need?
We need everything.
A little bit of everything all the time.
Little bit of everything
all of the time. Apathy's a tragedy, boredom is a crime. Anything and everything all the time. See friend from beyond the wall, the moans from the tunnel, the doppelganger, and the animated bag. What's the sketchy places? I know this one is one that we can interact with. First try without any hits. Let's go. Ooh, I forgot that happened. Alright, blah blah blah. Pence thinks that it was just Roxas throwing balls. This has little importance to the dissociation topic. This is more of just referencing how, well, this overarching will eventually relate to Roxas, but this is more of just showing glitches in the matrix, so to speak.
Yeah, where the...
Yeah, because Roxas is in a simulation.
We are not.
Well, not.
Better fucking not.
Y'all like Bruggers.
It's a very interesting one, and I want to
Hey,
choose this
DBS,
one
nice to have you in. DBS got a question for us. Y'all like burgers?
To a
Putting the
degree.
progress
would
my
say
drawing
which
I'm working on
kind
in the
of
Discord.
burgers?
New mic.
For now, I'm, the mists are over, as we also have, Bunny, and we have, Bunny and Selene, so that's why you see all of them compiled next to me. We are currently using the Mists Blue Yeti.
See burgers.
So it's able to pick up all of us. I may be a little farther away from the mic, so...
Actually, I think you're the closest to the mic out of all of us.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
Turn around.
the Vitoras were saying that it was a
Alright.
little echoey. Like, I'm not sure if that was echoey as in, like, double audio on stream, or echoey as in, like,
Wait
not
till
having
all of
enough
you are
soundproofing.
together IRL.
Turn around and look where the mic is compared to
Turn
everyone.
around.
Other way.
No, I see it in my peripheral. And yeah, no, we are all physically together in the same room.
Yep.
Well, besides Selene, wherever they went.
Maybe she went to take a nap. Because she was probably dealing with a crash after all the caffeine.
Alright.
What else I need?
More money.
But yeah,
I'm still trying to figure out who's co-fronting right now.
I mean, who has been wanting to talk? Question mark. Right.
Maybe one day we could meet up
Honestly,
IRL
Med
with
would know
DB
that
Cool.
better than me.
That would be cool, DBS. Don't know if we would need to figure out something though, because we are in drastically different areas.
I want to say it's Damona. I think it might be Damona who's co-running. And maybe Violet too. It
Oh.
won't surprise me if Violet was up.
Alright, I'm probably just not going to be able to get that chest for now. Alright. Oh, soon they get the animated dog and the moans from the tunnel. Yeah, no, DBS, this stream is all about dissociative related stuff. If you have any questions related to that, anything they want clarification on, feel free to ask away.
Yeah, we got 2 systems and a person that's learning how the systems work.
Yep.
2 systems and someone dating a system.
But who? I have no idea.
Nope, never know.
Don't know if the mic picked that up.
It did.
Mics normally don't like picking up when people whistle. Ow!
It did pick it up.
I mean, I'm a be moving soon, so who knows. Also this the spicy stream or just general talking and showing support for DID.
I would say for now, general support and talking. I mean, if we end up bringing up like lewd topics, we could probably talk about like how it is to be dissociative when doing lewd
I meant
stuff.
hot sauce.
Oh
Yeah, we can
no,
talk about it.
Not
not. No, this is not the hot sauce. Hot sauce is not going to be until the 19th.
That's one hell of a typo.
Well, I mean,
For once I didn't mean horny.
because spicy with DBS can mean both spicy as in like spice,
Finally true entertainment.
or
Only once.
spicy as in like nudes or anything like that. Also, Tone Deaf Bard, nice to have you in still.
Oh.
Nudes. I didn't get any nudes.
Well,
Organized chaos at its finest.
Organized chaos. No. Oh my god. Tone Deaf Bard, you missed it on... you missed it on Friday. There was so much chaos.
We were supposed to bring nudes.
What happened Friday?
That was with Bark and Stanley Parable.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that was Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
I have those memories.
Oh, you were able to tap in those memories?
Yeah, I remember some of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
Before stream, yeah. Yeah, and like 3 of us are up right now.
Yeah.
Violet's very quiet, but I can tell she's kind of co-fronting from how.
Right. She's just kind of chilling.
Rude.
Yeah. When she's up, we tend to start getting less. We tend to start looking more put together. This would be the best way to put it.
Reserved.
Yeah. I get less shy when she's out, like stuff like that.
Turn that off so that it doesn't waste battery.
Oops.
Yeah, if you got what you need from that, then
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
So when Violet is out, we tend to look more put together, less. I tend to look less.
Turn off the text to speech.
To be honest, when anyone is co-fronting, I look less shy,
Right.
Because I take on some of their more upfront aspects,
Right.
and also when we have a bunch of us co-fronting, we tend to start sounding more and more like mid.
Yeah, I've noticed that like a few times.
Yeah, mid's kind of our default. So like you can tell when it's just one of us out because we do have our own voice, but when there's a bunch of us, we default to mid.
Yeah.
Which mid is out like 90% of the time, so it's what we always describe it like muscle memory.
Yeah.
Sometimes even when we start getting really, really tired, we start defaulting to mid because it's just what the body is so used to. Even when we're out, it's like a muscle memory thing is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
But we're noticing it's happening less and less the more often we come out individually.
Yeah.
So like when, now that we're starting to get more experience with different people fronting instead of it always being mid, we're finding like when we're tired, we keep to our voice better than we used to.
Right. All right. Text to speech is being turned back on. Kay, nice to have you in. Hope you're doing well.
But I think it's Violet and Damona who's co-fronting with me right now.
Okay.
Hail Satan.
So.
Oh my god, TBS!
It's also a masking thing too. We
Yeah.
tend to start defaulting to mid to mask a lot.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a thing, especially if you have recently like come out even to yourself as a system, or if there's anyone in your system that's used to having to mask and act like somebody else to be safe.
Like we mostly people who know us online know that we're a system. Most people we know in person, other than some friends,
Yo,
don't know.
DBS, what up, man?
So we tend to
Don't
like play
music
off like
identifies.
our different actions and stuff as just language quirks, or like for instance when we start referring to ourselves as plural or in like we are that stuff, we tend to just play it off as a language quirk. Or if we ask if something's wrong, just feeling weird today.
Yeah, like you could play it off as like, oh, it's just the royal we. We're being quirky.
Yeah. Oh, it's just our weird language quirk. It happens sometimes. Yeah.
Doom guy music intensifies Flark. Yeah, for anyone that is just hopping in, because it has been a while since we gave a bit of info about this, today in the U.S. is the National Dissociative Identity Disorder Awareness Day. We're wanting to try and branch that out to also include other dissociative disorders, so we're just going to call this as a Dissociative Spectrum Awareness Day. You have me, Road, who's part of the Terarbal System, and then we have the System of Myths, represented by Serenity right now. as well as Selene Heidlman and Bunny, two of our friendos who are not systems, here to give commentary on Kingdom Hearts 2, bringing up some aspects of Roxas's story and perspective that can relate to dissociation, as well as giving just general dissociative facts. This is definitely a good time to ask whatever questions that you have related to dissociation, altered system mates, things of that nature, and be ready to introspect and learn. There will be some topics that may get heavy. I will forewarn.
Yeah. Mid's starting to wake up, I should clarify.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I
May end up with Mid either out or co-fronting. We'll see.
I can already hear it. Like I'm hearing Fair's rasp.
Oh.
Faye has like a little bit of a rasp to their voice.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, we switched.
Hi.
Hello.
Honestly, to me, it's always hard to tell between Serenity and Mid.
When I saw that you guys, when you had come back with when you came back in the room like a few hours ago, I could tell there was a switch. Serenity is a lot more tight, a little more I guess nervous in how they hold the body, and also the voice is a little softer, less raspy, more breathy.
Yeah. Yeah, that would describe it pretty well. Serenity tends to talk really quiet, tends to talk lower, quieter, more breathy, without as much presence, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it.
Right.
For those that have
and
did,
she's
how
also
do you
tends
imagine
to
your system?
be a lot more
Sorry if
nervous.
this is weird or rude, but I have always been
Ooh.
curious, is it just
She's a
this
soft
variety
bee.
of people all hanging out in a room, or is it like a board council meeting type setting?
Then Damona is definitely co-fronting, but he's just being very, very quiet.
Right.
And then Violet is kind of up, but not really fronting, kind of just up and doing something.
Right.
She's in the house, just not in the room.
Right. We just got a good question from Night Haze. For those that have DID, how do you imagine your system? Sorry if this is weird or rude, but I've always been curious. Is it just a variety of people all hanging out in a room? Or is it like a board or a council meeting type of thing? It varies.
And we were talking about headspace earlier, too.
Yeah. So the headspace is... It varies from system to system. For some of us, we may not have a very expansive headspace or inner world, so sometimes it can feel very cramped or claustrophobic, especially in the area designated for when people need to front or man the controls of the body, as it were. To give an example of a very expansive headspace, for us, we have the cockpit, we have kind of the hall that goes in between the cockpit and then the inner world, and the inner world has its own layers, which has a giant mansion with several floors and especially several levels to the basement. The lowest level of the basement being where Nimue and a few others that are managers or internal self-helpers work to keep the system, its memories, its muscle memory, all of that in check and in balance. There's also another area, the moat that surrounds the mansion, where certain dormant and defractalized members of the system, their spirits are there, kind of like in Hercules, where you saw all the spirits in Hades' lair, but a lot less ominous.
For us, we imagine a house. We each have our own room, and also recently we've expanded on it. We now have a library, which we've been trying to use more for when we have to study, so we'll try to go there. And lately, for like fronting, we've been imagining it as like writing a book a lot. When used to, we'd imagine it like playing a video game. But we've started doing that, and then we also have like a kitchen in it, and like it's more like an expansive house instead of just a bunch of rooms. We've always had like a living room, but now we also have an outside where it's mostly woods. Then we have a volcano for some of our more fiery altars, and a graveyard for those associated with death, and stuff like that. But we have like, so it's kind of like its own world almost. And each one has their own habitat, as we put it, because each of us tend to be associated with certain things, especially things in nature. Like Serenity is very much water, and so she tends to like to dwell in the lakes and the rivers and the outer world. Xavier likes trees, so he's often wandering around. Damina would be best described as a ranger. Hyde is just basically a werewolf running around. And like Kristoff tends to take the form of like a black dog in the cemetery. Then Miladius tends to just kind of, it's in like a field that's right next to the cemetery, but it's covered in like a mist, and he just lays there. But so we all have our own spaces, kind of.
And for like, I guess like close to normal terms, the way I see it is that for people, for the headmates or the alters that control the body is kind of like Voltron or Power Rangers, that they control like the large mech, and they could switch out whoever is controlling it. And for the headspace, the way I think of it is either
That's
some
really
kind
interesting.
of
Thank you for the
building,
enlightenment.
most likely a house, or
Can
like
you have
a campus,
DID without
which is
having
like
it
a
like you
huge
still have
expansive
different
area.
voices or people living in your head
Yeah.
without them having being full-on personalities,
Ooh.
if that makes sense?
Ooh, DBS just brought up a good question. See, can you have the ID without having it? Like, you still have different voices or people living in your head without them having or being full-on personalities, if that makes sense.
That would be
Yes.
OSDD.
That would be OSDD type 1A, where you do not have, like, there are still, like, other folks, but they are not fully fledged identities. They're more akin to fragments, fragments being individuals that do not have a complete sense of identity, but focus on a prime directive. But with OSDD type 1A, fragments aside, you still have very potent amnesic breaks.
I think I know what we'd have would technically be OSDD 1B.
Yeah, same for us.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like we got ads.
Brain go BRRR.
Ringo Bert.
Yeah, brain definitely go bird. Let's see. I do want to note when we had like the scene. Frankly, we were all talking over it, but the scene where Roxas like saw like the magical train and everyone else was like, "You're going a little crazy." That's not necessarily dissociative. It's more of like showing breaks in the matrix. Because spoilers, Roxas is in a simulation right now. But when we get more evidence in relation to Roxas being in the simulation, it will reference a lot more to the dissociative lens that we're wanting to talk about here. You have any theories, Bunny?
About what?
Like what we've been kind of noting and referencing regarding Roxas and all that jazz.
I probably have like the least amount of thoughts because one, game, and two, since I do not know much about DRD or OSD stuff, I have very little opinion and references.
Right. I mean, what I'm trying to say here is like this is your time and chance to like mention how you think you're understanding things and asking questions for clarification. It's like if there's anything that you want to be sure that you're understanding correctly, feel free to say so. Any questions for anything that we haven't mentioned before or you think may relate, say so if you feel comfortable.
Yeah. I'm mostly just like, I guess like dumbing down or like simplifying what you guys are saying. So it's either for any VOD watchers or people who are watching on the chat.
Yeah.
Of the general idea of what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Because I understand if not a lot of people know some of these words that you guys are saying. Like headspace and disorders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I am trying to like dumb it down or like make it a better way to digest it.
Right.
So people can follow along without burning off brains.
Right. Giving synopses.
Popping in to remind
from
everyone
someone
that
who
you're
doesn't
all amazing
experience it, so
people,
maybe
adorable
Right.
kids,
can
and
help us
intelligent
explain it better.
creatures.
It's kind of hard to explain it when it's something you experience.
We have Zelda in the chat, popping in to remind everyone that you're all amazing people, adorable beings, and a bunch of cuties. That includes you all over there. You flipping lovebirds. I see you.
I just lay down. They lay down next to me.
But we have a. What was it? I was gonna say. Now that you mentioned it, I am noticing there's been my voice more.
I think so. We were before we got interrupted. It was talking about you two having the system and I do not.
Yeah, we've been a system since we were like 13, so we almost have no memory of not being a system. And the memories we have of not being a system was literally like we were literally children.
Right.
Like we don't have much cohesive memories.
We've been a system since the body was 6, but didn't know about anything about us being a system until just around Christmas time of 2020. No, 20. Either 20. No, it was 2020.
So, and we met in 2021. So you'd only known about it for about a year.
Yeah.
When we met. How? Want to explain how you didn't know?
This scene. Sorry, not meaning to cut you off, but
sorry.
this scene is where everything is beginning to crumble for Roxas. This is very much an example of like how someone could go like peek behind the curtain, so to speak. Like Nominee is describing to Roxas, you and Sora are connected. Yeah. In order for Sora to become completely whole again, he needs you. Roxas needs to integrate with Sora. Nominee has said straight up, you hold half of what he is. Roxas
Nominee
is
one of the characters?
Yes.
Oh, and you have someone named after the character. Okay.
Interject.
Okay, that makes sense now.
But yeah, no, this is very much an example, and frankly, situations of realization of being part of a system can vary from system to system, but this is very much, in a dissociative lens, you can very much describe this as Roxas's reality check. Nominee is forcing him to peek behind the veil.
Can't help you there.
Yeah.
Because she has literally said verbatim, you hold half of who and what Sora is. In order for Sora to be awake, you have to integrate.
I guess I would like to know.
What would you think of that specific kind of idea that they have to be one again?
In regards to actual, like, in regards to actual dissociation and the concept of final fusion, if a system themselves, personally, feels like final fusion is the best response and best course of action for them, I am not going to pressure them against that. Because systems such as Multiplicity and me have literally been bullied off of the internet because they have committed to Final Fusion. Final Fusion, while Final Fusion, unfortunately for a lot of dissociative folks, Final Fusion is a concept that is very traumatic. Mainly because a lot of therapists and psychiatrists that assume that being one individual identity, being a singlet, is the best course of action. It's very ableist because it assumes that members of a system are only certain parts. It dehumanizes a lot of system members and assume, like, for example, like it especially makes like trying to define fragments very complicated, because while fragments may not have as deep of a sense of individuality as alters and system mates, and they may focus more on a directive, they are still themselves. However, how a lot of people tend to describe and see alters and system mates, including fragments, is very dehumanizing and only sees them as parts of a whole. There are some even hyper exotified and mystified perceptions of dissociation, such as the shard theory, that imply that other individuals are just shards broken off of one core crystal.
It's fine.
So, when it comes to the concept of like final fusion and like the idea of like, in order for someone to be themselves, someone has to integrate with them in order to let them be themselves. In some situations, if you consent to that, if you feel that that is the best course of action for yourself as a system, by all means. For our system, we would never force that on our system personally, because everyone in our system, fragment, alter, whatever, is still their own individual, and the consent and communication of everyone is important. Even as a collective, it's still important to have everyone's input on what everyone feels the best course of action is. When someone else outside of the system claims that the best course of action for us is to be something that we don't want to do, that is an abuse of power.
Who you may be after, always simply here to exist, then not just like that. Also, sea ice cream is something I've always wanted to try simply because of how good it looks in these games.
Y'all ever just feel like you'd be floating through life in existence, just being both physical and metaphysical, touching and seeing all there is and was, but never truly knowing if you were who you are or now, or who you may be after? Always simply here to exist and not just like that. That is related a lot to like derealization or depersonalization. Also, sea salt ice cream is something I've always wanted to try simply because of how good it looks in new games. Mood.
I've made it. It's really good.
Make more?
Yeah, I was gonna
Also,
say we should sometime get together and make some.
Hell yeah. Also, Bunny, thank you so much for the full care package.
Give me.
But what were we talking about before?
Integration, final fusion.
Yeah, and like for us, like the idea of fusing is so weird. Like our ex, who we were engaged to, used to
insist that we needed to fuse if we really were a system, because we were all really one person, and they also thought that we were faking it and wasn't actually one, which has caused a lot of my system to go dormant for a while, because they just didn't want to deal with it. And also some of that was also forced by meds. When we went on an antidepressant, it dulled our emotions a lot, which in turn, when our emotions get dulled like that, it makes it really hard to switch, because switching is tied to emotions for us. And so a lot of the system went dormant, and when we started coming, the system started coming back. Well, I say the system, but people started to come out of dormancy again. Everyone fucking
that is an excellent mood.
The funny thing is, everyone kind of is just like, he really wanted us to fuse when literally everyone except for me.
Right. Also, we just got Legal in the chat. Legal hopes your day will be wonderful and amazing. Legal believes that you will shine so brighter than the stars in the sky. Thank you so much, Legal. You absolute fucking beacon.
Yeah.
Legal,
you are amazing.
Also,
Basic beat.
DBS going, I have 2 moods, horny and philosophy. Absolute fucking mood.
But there's, so, like, fusion to us, if someone chooses it, that's fine, but to us it's weird, because we've also been this way since we were literally 13, so we can't imagine even being a different way.
Right.
And I would say we have pretty healthy multiplicity in it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know how it might be for someone who didn't know they were a system until recently, or anything like that, because we've been aware since 13, before we even knew what multiple personality disorder was. For
us, not feeling like a beacon today.
Legal, you're always a beacon. Like, I know that today may be a bad day, but know that every time that you pop in here,
it brightens
it's an
all of our
absolute
day.
delight to have you.
It brightens all of our day. We love it.
Your existence brightens our day.
Yay!
You are an amazing being, Legal. Anyway, as you were saying.
Yeah, sorry. Hold on. No, talking with Zephyr inside for a quick sec. You can go on. Like, you can keep saying a thing.
I can't remember what we were saying. That's the problem.
Final fusion, integration. Oh,
yeah.
When it comes to that kind of concept, when you've only recently realized that you're part of the system, like us, like me, Road specifically, hasn't really affected us that much, because inside everything regarding like muscle memory and everything being put together was already set up pretty deeply. So
it's innate for us, honestly.
Yeah.
Just the muscle memory is innate.
You better be crying happy tears,
I may
Legal.
not talk to you much, Legal, but you are always a joy to see and chat, and I
because
hope
you
your
would
day
have a
gets
bit
better if
more,
it's been bad.
like I
If
said,
it's
we've
been
known
good, I
since
hope
we were
it keeps getting
13, so
better.
you'd have a bit more
Legal appreciates
context into
everyone
that
here.
kind of thing, of realizing your system, or
Yeah.
how it works when you don't realize your system until much later. Like, how did you not, how did it take so long for you to realize you were one, even?
When, at least from my experience, there's just a lot of mental barriers. It's no better than having to go through the steps to realize that you may be a problematic person.
Yeah.
There's a lot of steps and whatnot that you have to go through, a lot of barriers that you have to break within yourself, and
so
it can be, you have to, there's a level of vulnerability that you have to allow yourself.
So for you, was there never quite a point where you realized that there was someone else in control of your body, and your actions weren't like what you wanted to do? Did you never hit that point?
There were points, but before, for the longest time, before I could really try and process and be vulnerable with myself about situations like that, the brain's immediate response, something in the brain, someone else in the brain would not give me that opportunity to try and process it. They would notice that I was starting to try and notice, like, hey, what's going on here? And they would go, nope, block.
So you had someone actually blocking it from you. With us, when we were 13, we had cat form. We aren't exactly sure when. We just remember, like, very distinctly, like, we'd been kind of in an off and on relationship with someone. We were 13. They were also in our grade.
Right.
And we just remembered that we were, like, in the tub or something, and we had a phone at this time.
Yeah.
We were texting them, and then we noticed, like, the texts that we were sending weren't us. Or it wasn't mid, to be specific. It was someone else or something else. Like, we weren't quite in control. We knew the memories, we could see what was going on, but there was something weird about us.
Yeah.
And it was this,
but I'm ascended in
which,
DM road.
to be clear, Kat ended up was at the very beginning manipulator, and they got named Cat because we called them the Cat because they like playing with people, like cats with a mouse. So, and that we ended up missing like 2 or 3 days of school because we made that poor kid cry really bad. I still feel guilty about it.
Yeah,
but Cat ended up breaking his heart, and that was a whole thing, and that's how we realized it, because we noticed that disconnect.
Yeah, no, for me, when I noticed that there were points that, at first I thought like this situation was like, for example, I thought it was just like an incidental phantom hand kind of syndrome kind of spiel, where there was a point to where I was like flirting with someone who I was in an on-again, off-again relationship with, which really wasn't all that great in hindsight. And at that point, even though I know that I didn't want to, something was going on to where things were going physical. My hand was moving where I did not want it to go, and I was internally freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, we had, because our first memories, because like that stuff scared the crap out of me. There's several of us, right? So, but it's kind of scared us a lot because there was that disconnect, but then also that fear made it more like prominent, and we started calling it the cat.
Yeah.
Which then came into cat and then progressed from there. So that's how we realized we were a system.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of something that scared us, I guess.
Yeah.
That was very prominent and very different. And that's how we came into it. And then within like a year, I think, Scarlet, Anna, and Serenity formed.
Oh. And here's a wonderful situation. Axel just said, Roxas I know is long gone, because Roxas, for those that did not know the game, Kingdom Hearts 3 5 Days Over 2. That was a game to where Roxas was living his own life. He was living as number 13, the 13th member of Organization 13. In the beginning, Roxas, and this is also going to be spoilers of 3 5 Days Over 2, but also gives more insight to Roxas, especially in a dissociative lens. In the beginning, Roxas did not really have a sense of identity. It was through being around everyone in the organization that he grew to have his own identity, his own personality, his own likes and dislikes. He was friends, like very close friends, with Axel and another person who I will not say because mentioning her will bring even more spoilers. But Roxas and his personality, how he was then, is different compared to how Roxas is now, because Roxas now is already through the process of integrating, and he is emotionally content, or getting ready to be content with that integration. And
one out for
yeah.
the homie Roxas bro got shafted for the boy with clown
Honestly,
shoes.
when that line, the Roxas I knew was long gone, kind of hits me. Because one of my old friends became a system. And they became a person that I knew I kind of no longer know about anymore.
Right.
So that line always hits me because
Yeah, no, I get you with that because also thinking as
Even
a
people
system
just
member.
change in general, even without becoming a system, you know?
Yeah, because even thinking as like a system member, like I can empathize with that hurt and that confusion because of like as a friend of a system or a friend of someone who's just matured and moved on. It's especially difficult when you're friends with a system or dissociative person, or even in a relationship with a dissociative person, because there's always the worry of like the futility of your relationship. How long are you going to be with this person? Is there something going to happen to where an integration or another person that comes into being that will affect the feelings of the person who I am in a relationship with?
Yeah.
I want the nobody and heartless tattoo not just because it looks cool, but the meaning behind him always stuck with me.
From a system point of view, being in a relationship with someone, especially if all members or a lot of members are in that relationship, because usually when we date someone, we consider all of us to kind of be in it. For us personally, it's just how we are, and we're pretty content with that. Not all systems are, and there are definitely some things that have to be worked out, because like for instance, one of our system members is lesbian, which with some people isn't gonna work out, but we have two others who are gay. But stuff like that can be hard to work out, but
satisfy everyone's needs.
Yeah. It does make polyamory very interesting when you're a system.
It's almost a necessity for us, because like how's one person going to meet both of those needs?
Right, but it's like also at the same time, unfortunately, it's unfortunately not uncommon for alters and system mates to be fetishized.
Yeah.
So like, and I did mention this also in the Discord server. There is a straight up movement that has exotified dissociation, Western tulpomancy.
Oh, I was about to say, is it tulpomancy?
Yep.
But as I was gonna say, like as a system, if a lot of you are in that relationship, something happens to that relationship, it hurts all of you so bad. And if you're a system that feels things really deeply, like we have like issues with like controlling our own emotions sometimes, because of ADHD, but so we feel things like ungodly deep.
Legal says that everyone here is like stupendous and amazing in every way.
I don't know how to describe it other than it's soul crushing. And it makes it almost even worse because everyone feels
faked
it.
Then used it to be abusive and toxic.
Or like if one doesn't realize it until later because they didn't have that memory or stuff like that. It's like someone with Alzheimer's who keeps forgetting their spouse is dead, and you keep having to tell them.
Oh yeah. No, I empathize a lot with folks that struggle with Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that, because a lot of the amnesic breaks, while they are not exact, because we are eventually able to communicate and connect with the memories in some way, if not completely, then at least in like a storyboard style. The thought of not having relation to those memories or those times at all when you want to, that just sounds scary in and of itself. Legal just redeemed a hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate. Also, Legal says that everyone here is stupendous and amazing in every way. Thank you. DBS said dating someone with DID is hard, even more so after being with someone who faked it and used it to be abusive and toxic. Absolutely. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of people, especially that fake DID, think that it is an easy get out of jail free card when it comes to being an absolute
Something
ass.
you mentioned in the server was systemhood accountability or something
Yes,
like that.
mutual accountability.
Yes.
Because I say this especially from experience. Myself, especially influenced by a very hostile alter in the system, really fucked up in a friend group that we had, and this was during this past summer. We literally lost hundreds in our friend group because we fucked up that bad. As much as we can contextualize that it was namely from influence from a hostile alter, it is not mature, it is not wise to imply that that hostile alter had all of the blame.
Yeah.
Mutual accountability is incredibly important for any relationship, platonic, familial, romantic, sexual, whatever. Because
It's not
that
just one person's
communication.
fault. It's the entire system's fault for not coming up with ways to deal with it.
Yeah.
I think you
Road
have
Note and others in your
told me
system know
about
that there is very
group.
little you could do to lose me as a
I think-
friend.
I was there when it happened.
Yeah, no, the myths were there during the ends of the fire.
Yeah.
I don't want to say what the group was because like I don't want that to make me fire or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's not.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But let's not and say we didn't.
Yeah.
There's a, but like for instance, in our system,
I say ride or die, I
we
mean ride
all
or
kind
die
of
laugh
shared. I don't know if the word is identity, but all of us want to protect, obviously want to protect the body and the self, but also we all do have a sense of not, I guess the best way to put it would be pissing off Ned.
Right.
It's usually how we word it.
No, that's
But
a
we
mood.
don't want to do something that Ned would regret or another would regret kind of thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with us having a hostile
Yeah,
alter,
we don't have experience with
it
hostiles
gets
yet anyway.
very difficult.
Hopefully, we don't get any experience with hostiles, but we have. Would Kat have been considered a hostile at the beginning, with how she was manipulative and stuff?
Maybe there is a.
Because
that depends on how you guys define. Because like there is a difference. There's a fine line between a persecutor and a hostile alter. How we define the difference between a persecutor and a hostile alter is the hostiles tend to. The persecutors keep everything internal. Hostile alters project the harm and all the toxicity outside as well. They are not content with just manipulating the inside. They also manipulate the outside.
Because Kat literally manipulated people in their lives at first. That's kind of how she was. She did it because she found joy in it. She's a sadist. She wanted to hurt people.
That sounds like Arlene.
But she's not like that anymore, to be clear.
Right.
Still a sadist, but in a different way.
Right. Oh,
much
not
more
that.
toned down.
Yeah, and she's not so manipulative. She will manipulate if, like, we need it, like, to protect us, but
Right.
she won't, like, just go and manipulate people for her
For
own
fun.
satisfaction, yeah. For her own fun, anymore, but at the beginning, that's literally all she did. She was a cat with a mouse. So I guess she would have been a hostile.
Yeah.
But she also fully developed and integrated and became non-hostile over time. She's now more of an emotional protector than anything.
Yeah.
I just want to step back a few moments ago.
Yeah.
You said something about topomancy or something like
Topomancy, yes.
What is that exactly?
So that is a big old rabbit hole. Let's start from the beginning. In the 1920s, a Belgian opera singer named Alexander David Neil lied her way to get into Tibet during a time when they were isolationist and before forced Chinese colonization. She wrote about her experiences about Tibetan Buddhism. I forget the exact name of the book, but like she actually wrote several books. That aside, her books were a massive influence on the Western gaze and the globalization of Buddhism, and led to a fascination
You said rabbit hole, but I wasn't not expecting to start in the 1920s. Damn.
Yeah, no, we going way far back, DDS. The Western occult got very intrigued by tulpas, and in influence of the concept, bred their own concept, which they call a servitor.
Back.
However, in the 1970s, during the height of like the modern perception of DID, and also the time of Sybil being interviewed, led to a massive surge of the perception on DID in dissociation, and led to a lot of people fetishizing and exotifying dissociation and alters, which led to the appropriation of tulpas and the concept of tulpas and from Tibetan Buddhism, mixing that with the occult idea of servitors and creating the concept of Western tulpamancy.
Which is kind of, in a sense, making your own altars.
Yep.
Like forcing yourself to split, in a sense.
Yep. And is unfortunately used, and I will say this just real quick, and massive trigger warning when it comes to sexual abuse. I have seen it more often than not, and have also been a victim of people using tulpamancy to conjure a sex slave and to force other people in a system, including the original, to go through ego death in order to instigate the tulpa that they have created to be the only one that is around for them
Legal
to have
wishes
around.
Everyone a good day.
Thank you, Legal. I'm sorry for the deep change of topic. Towels. Alright. Yeah, so... Ooh, that was a deep dive.
You've had to answer that question in other servers, too.
Chicken sandwich.
Chicken sandwiches are good. They are very nice. Oh, we have a flashback.
Wait, does Roxas not remember this time?
I believe he's starting to remember some things.
Okay,
I
so
wonder
does
if
he
you can have a
does he not
convoluted
remember when
death.
he was 13?
Hmm?
When he was in the whatever?
Yeah, when he was in Organization 13.
So he doesn't remember that in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, he didn't remember this in the beginning.
Okay.
He's starting to remember now.
Because I know he doesn't have Sora's memories, but he was also a member of the Organization 13.
Yeah, he was a member of Organization 13, but in 358 Days Over 2, when he was starting to learn too much information on what Organization 13 was actually trying to do, they knocked him comatose and put him in the simulation.
Oh. Okay, that makes sense.
And so Nominee like hacked into it?
Nominee has always been keeping eyes on the simulation, and she has been tasked with having to integrate him with Sora. Because while Roxas has been awake, Sora has been comatose.
Yeah.
During all the time that Sora has been awake and aware and living his own life, Sora has not.
Even if it doesn't, I want to know. I have the right to know.
Should really be called 13 Ops.
Oh.
And this is quite some interesting ableism right over here. Nobodies do not have the right to know, which clearly shows that nobodies are dissociative in nature. So
What
implying
are
that alters and those that are outside of the original have no right to know of their fate, of who they are and who others in their system are, is oof.
What exactly are nobodies?
Are you talking about like nobodies as in part of the organization or nobodies?
Nobodies in general. So you know like how and also Nominee is saying here that like when he integrates, like he will no longer exist. I may not know it's you, and you may not know that it's me.
Again, a nobody and or
But
a
we'll meet
heartless
again.
tattoo would go hard.
So, they will explain this later when we get to Sora meeting up with Yen Sid.
Sorry, that was I had an
okay.
alarm for bed at 10:30.
How is that?
Okay, I need paper towels.
But when it comes to the concept of heartless and nobodies, Yen Sid will actually explain this a little bit later. I don't know if we'll quite get to that point, but in Kingdom Hearts 1, we know that heartless are the darkness in people's hearts. Basically,
Yes.
when the darkness consumes the heart and manifests into a being.
Yeah.
And it is
Get both cause both meanings hit hard, but still just the design of a heartless and nobody go hard. Yeah, I know.
Whereas the nobodies, Yen Sid describes them as the empty shell left behind. So with that, we already have a very dissociative perspective on this, with the fact that he implies that there is already a split when a heartless is formed. When a heartless is formed, a nobody is also formed. You have the heart. You have the heart that is consumed by darkness, the individual, the original individual, so to speak, that is taken away from the body, and then you have the nobody, the body itself that is quote unquote soulless. But through the course of the series, we do eventually learn that nobodies can have their own identities. But yeah, so that, I love how accidentally dissociative coded Nomura ended up making the Heartless and Nobodies. And it gets even more interesting when you talk about the Unversed and Vanitas. But that will be another time.
I was say that's a different story time.
Yeah, because that will also, if I were to talk about that now, that will require a lot of spoilers. Especially
Yo, fucking kids game Kingdom Hearts has some many fucking
At
layers
some
and
point,
different
you should
meanings.
do
It's crazy.
just a Kingdom Hearts marathon.
Oh, that would be interesting. Also a little difficult considering the fact that each game is like 30 hours of gameplay? Minimum? Fuck you.
Well, I
Imagine
do
just the
remember
story
somebody
itself
playing
is
through
crazy long
literally
and dead.
every single Kingdom Hearts game.
That would be a long time marathon kind of thing.
That would be a super long marathon.
Well, I mean, like something you could
This
do
might
like
be a loaded question,
over
but I'm
consecutive
genuinely
weeks, though.
uneducated, and someone in
Like
my
do
chat
like
just
how you
got
usually
mad at me
plan
for
to play a
thoughts on
game.
endogenic
Ooh.
systems.
Every so often. Do something like that until you finish the games.
Okay, the Vittorians just brought up something interesting. Thoughts on endogenic systems. I am a little concerned when it comes to people that call themselves endogenic systems, mainly because endogenic is a term coined by the Lunastis Collective.
What is endogenic?
Endogenic is meant to be a term to define that an alter or a system that was created without trauma. Which I and my system find very problematic, considering the fact that with current studies, the vast majority of cases regarding dissociation happen from trauma. And we can alters can have situations to where we do not know if we are related to trauma or not, or we have specific connections to trauma, or a specific kind of trauma that the system has gone through. But regardless, at least with everyone in our system and all the systems that we have known have been what is considered traumagenic, those that have been created by trauma. Endogenic is a term that has been often used to include tulpas, which makes us especially very uncomfortable given that tulpas are not only appropriative, because tulpamancy, and also the fact that they are including a Buddhist concept, a Buddhist spiritual concept that has nothing to do with dissociation into a dissociative perspective. But especially given the fact that we have been victim, and others that we know have been victim to, the sexualization of alters by means of Western tulpamancy, we struggle to see how endogenic can be included under the dissociative umbrella.
Okay, because I was gonna say that we don't really know what caused us, like at all. Cat just formed like when we were 13, and That's all we know. We don't know what made us a system, even. We have a few members who we know what caused the split and are traumagenic, but we don't know what made us into a system in the first place.
Right.
Like, we don't know if that even was trauma.
Right.
We just know it happened.
Right. I mean, from our perspective, realizing trauma takes time, no better than realizing that you're part of the system later in life. Like, there's a lot of barriers that you have to realize and you have to go through. There's a lot of vulnerability that goes through that, and sometimes, even collectively, you may not feel like that you are prepared for that. But unfortunately, again, given that for us, it's complicated because of how many tulpamancers and folks that have tulpas use the term endogenic. We really are uncomfortable with the term endogenic.
Without the term endogenic, would you say that it's possible for a system to be formed without trauma?
Later tonight I can give you the name of the user if you want, just as a head up,
Because endogenic clearly is
looking for an argument
not a
and
great
it was
term.
upsetting me to know if that would be helpful or not.
Vitoris, you're open to send the name of the individual in DMs if you want. I do not want to cause this to be some big old argument, because unfortunately this kind of topic does lead to a lot of discourse in dissociative circles, because a lot of folks that I have met that have been proponents of the endogenic title have often been proponents and apologists of tulpomancy.
Alrighty.
But when it comes to the question of can
IOFC
people
in private
be
just as a
dissociative
caution to avoid
without
future
trauma?
fights.
If it's possible, it's possible. I just still because I do think that it is possible in some way, given the fact that I know that servitors exist. That was you had if you put your mind to it to manifest, you can conjure another being. It is possible. Why do you think Western tulpomancy is such a thing? But there is also a difference between being dissociative and tulpomancy. Being dissociative, whether it was based on trauma or not, is something that is done as a defense mechanism. It is instinct. Your body does it often, 9 times out of 10, if not all times, when you don't want to. The fact that there is even any level of consent to lead to a servitor or a tulpa makes us weary about including them in dissociative discourse.
Yeah, to be clear, it wasn't intentional on our part.
Yeah.
We did not want it to happen. We don't know why. Like I said, it just happened it was after puberty, which maybe dysphoria may have played a part. Because we are trans, mid is especially trans, and we have several others who are trans, but and going through puberty as a trans person is in itself kind of traumatic in a sense.
Yeah.
Because I remember we went through
what happens when one is
and
horny,
it was
but not
just
everyone
a
is
feeling
horny, if that
at
makes
first
sense.
it was oh, this is what's supposed to happen, this is what I'm told is supposed to happen, we're becoming an adult, and then it just kept going and we're no, this is not what I wanted. This is too many slices. And then also I think around that time, around puberty, is also when we developed suicidal depression, which in itself I guess can be traumatizing, and that would have been right around when Cat was formed, was when we started developing really bad depression.
Yeah. DBS just brought up an interesting question. What happens when one of you is horny but not everyone is horny? That is what we call emotional bleeding. If there's a point to where you can tell that someone else is in the mood but you're not, you can feel someone else's emotions and wants, that is emotional bleeding.
We get that a lot, especially if mid is feeling something really intense and it causes a switch, then the person who switches will often feel it.
Yeah.
So like if mid's having a breakdown, then or is anxious, there's a switch that happens, not necessarily triggered by it, but just a switch in general. A lot of the other people switching, or if anyone else is awake, will often feel it. I don't know if we get it as much when another Ultra is feeling something intensely, but we know we all get that bleeding from mid, especially. Yeah. I don't think the others bleed as much as mid does. And I have no idea. It's all of us. It's question mark. It's kind of mid, it's kind of damna, it's kind of...
Yeah, no.
Whoever the fuck else wants to chime in.
And it also kind of, again, it depends from body to body, system to system. Like, some folks, like myself, get more easily overstimulated and overwhelmed from certain kinds of emotional bleeding.
Yeah.
I get more annoyed when I sense that someone else is horny, like, say, when Imogen and Vax are doing a thing.
Just like, damn, I kinda want to fuck right now.
Do you experience different sensory issues with different ultras?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, we get, Meladius is extremely touch averse. Like, he has really a lot of issues with touch. I think Serenity has a lot of issues with, hearing harsh noises. Or high voices. She can't stand like chipmunk voices. Y'all made her a bit uncomfortable earlier. A few other things, like we do notice that too. Serenity also hates things touching her back, which that's also because her form in the headspace oftentimes has wings and it freaks her out.
Yeah, no, that's the same thing with Vax, and when he first actually became part of the system, it was very difficult because he was dealing with phantom pains because he has his wings and like, you know, like the whole thing of like when an amputee or it's like someone who's recently had a limb removed, they deal with phantom pains.
You can feel them. Yeah, we get
Vax dealt with that for the first few months when he first became part of the system, and it was very overstimulating. He couldn't stay fronting for like more than a half hour, I think, because it would get to the point to where he could feel where his wings were supposed to be at the shoulder blades, and the more that he would front, the more that the pain would grow.
Yeah, Mid gets that sometimes because in the headspace, Mid has the wings like in the Avatar.
Yeah.
A few of us do, so we get that, but there's other things like some of us might be more light sensitive, stuff like that. So it's interesting when you have sensory issues and are dissociative and how it gets almost divided between everyone.
Oh yeah.
And like you have to remember who's sensitive to what.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And making sure that they are inside a safe area before the switch happens.
Yeah. Or if a switch happens, just people know about it. Like, for instance, when Meladius first formed, we didn't know about his touch aversion, and we went to the first time he came out, we went to see Rosebud, our other partner, and
I wonder what Nobody Head is like.
Didn't know he was touch averse. She tried cuddling, and he just looked at her, and he kind of let her touch him, but was just like sitting there and just almost staring at her in disgust. Like, just like, I really don't want this happening, and just staring like uncomfortably because he didn't want to see anything.
TB has coming out. I wonder what Nobody Head be like.
I wonder what?
Nobody Head getting head from a nobody.
My God.
Look, he literally did say he only has two moods: horny or philosophy.
We've hit the horny.
Oh no.
The horny attacks.
Kirby, grab the bonks. Not the bonks on the soundboard.
And also, like,
always ornery.
for the comment of like the mid depression and out of nowhere, just like, damn, I kind of want to fuck right now.
Horny.
It's more like you are
depressed.
It's more like when you are depressed and you are in your depression. You feel and know that your depression is yours, but you can feel someone else's horniness. And you can feel and hear them going, I want to fuck.
Cat says moo to but
Catches your bonk and reverses it.
Melanius is also the one who tends to house a lot of the system's feelings of depression.
Yeah.
Which is why he's so
We're getting bonked. Sorry, we're getting bonked. I'm the only one that's hearing the bonk, so I'm getting all the damage.
Cat says maybe I like getting bonked.
My horny cannot be stopped.
Cat needs to be restrained.
Sadly, we don't have cat restraints. We only have high restraints.
That's not true.
How do you not have cat restraints for having her for how
She's
long
one
now?
of the managers.
Oh
I'll
my
bonk all you like
goodness.
then.
She knows seniority. Also, she says horny is not a reason. God damn it.
Also, that fucking hurts. Oh. Axel said, "See you again in the next life." Just because you have a next life, and then he cuts off. Because Axel is also a nobody. He was basically implying just because you, Roxas, have a next life with integrating with Sora, doesn't mean I do. Axel doesn't know at this point who his original was, if he will ever integrate, if there's ever a possible integration for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because he doesn't know his heartless, right?
Hmm?
Yeah.
yeah,
Axel was a real one.
that hits. Because it also makes me think, like, a question I get a lot is, like, what happens to systems when they die?
Oh yeah, Ultra Death.
You know, like, the physical body passes on. Like, most people have a concept of an afterlife and, like, you're, like, atheist or something. But
Hey yo, Terry doesn't look like he came out of a vat of acid. Let's go.
but, like, what do you think, what happens to all of you in the system when the body dies? Do you all go as individual entities, or are you one again?
I feel like that varies from system to system, and also varies on how you perceive faith in the afterlife.
Yeah, but that's a question I've heard a lot of people have
started being happy.
kind of
That's
contemplate
crazy.
when they're in system. Because they don't want to be whole. They say don't want to be whole, or they don't want to miss the others.
Fucking bro got laid, as in like the dragon, and instantly started looking happier. That's crazy. Oh.
Honestly, when is no one ever crazy in the series?
Here's the part that hurts the most. Here we go. Who damn?
At last, the key blade's chosen.
Who are you talking to? Me? Or Sora?
Good question.
To half of Sora, of course.
God damn it, Daisy ableist.
You reside in darkness.
Yes.
What I need is someone who can move about the realm of light and destroy Organization 13.
Why? Who are you?
I am a servant of the world. And if I'm a servant, then you should consider yourself a tool at best.
Fucking ableist prick!
Is that supposed to be a joke? Cause I'm not laughing.
Like, looking at the dialogue that Diz has here in a dissociative lens, and how he is seeing Roxas and Nobodies hurts so much. When
He sees them as nothing.
Because he literally said, I do not want you, I want Sora.
Oh no. We've experienced that before. People wanting mid and only mid. I don't know who's talking right now, but.
I'm assuming it's multiple people in the system.
Yeah. We do not have the time to sort it out, so we will just go with it.
Some of that hatred with Sora.
Because literally everything that Diz is saying here is you should give your emotions who you are to Sora. He is too nice. He needs your brashness. He cannot be a true person without you. He is too weak without you.
No.
And here he is.
Sorry, I just cannot get rid of the quote. And here we are.
Sora.
And the
bitch
fact
gives
that
me
Roxas
hype.
has to be forced to be content with his existence not being able to be around if Sora can have his hurts.
I like the title thing.
Yeah, and when someone only wants one member of your system to be out all the time, kind of hurts.
Mhm.
It hurts a lot.
Well, it's even worse in this case of basically saying,
You have
like,
to merge.
clinically, Sora cannot be a true person unless you merge with him.
We kind of got told that, and it's
Are ya
unpleasant.
winning, son?
Lexi! We've been talking about some shit. Oh boy.
Sora.
And here we're going to get all of the nice cheery music of like, oh, Sora's back! But at what cost?
Mhm.
Yeah, we're doing well, Lexi. We've just been doing a deep dive of the beginning of this game. Looks like we might actually have just enough time to finish through at least the beginning of what Sora is going through and see him deal with the emotional bleeding from Roxas.
I feel like we haven't been doing that much analysis.
I feel like, I mean, at the beginning we gave a lot of like definitions and everything.
Yeah.
A lot of
It
information
wasn't really
about
until the
Ace.
latter half of what Roxas is dealing with that we really were able to give proper analysis.
Yeah.
Also, it looks like we have about 9 minutes before the next round of ads.
Let's see.
Let's skip this scene. I want to go a little farther.
Hey, look,
Oh,
it's Sora,
Zephyr.
Donald, and Goofy.
Zephyr's not happy right now.
What's there with Zephyr?
What?
Right. Hmm. I don't know his name.
Roxas. Okay. Yeah, both Zephyr and looks like we're getting ads a lot quicker.
No, it's all.
I mean, like a good part of analysis is just talking about shit in a very smart way.
Yeah. You cannot view the status of party members from the main menu. Blah blah blah. Hooey. Oh wait, no. Oh no. I want us to see this.
I think it's mostly Damon that's been fronting lately. Maybe with a bit of Violet.
I think I've been to this town.
The cat's awake.
Mm-mm.
I am not even surprised.
That cat was awake for a while.
Why was
She's been off and on.
it because of DBS bringing like the horny comments?
I had brought her up.
No cat.
Honestly, I think a lot of us are just awake and watching
Fair.
because
No,
of the
I-
topic of conversation.
I can tell a few of us are like peering over as well. Zephyr and Nimue especially right now. Well,
Most everyone is quiet, so it's hard to tell everyone who is. So
yeah, and it,
Imagine if they let Goofy have his stick in this game, so many of their
I know
problems
it's
would be solved
mostly
so
mid out,
quickly.
and I think I've been switching with Damona and maybe even Violet a bit.
yeah.
I'm
I know Serenity was up a bit ago.
I know Serenity was. Yeah, she was definitely out fully.
Also horny,
But
always
it's
informative.
been.
My name's Alette. Hey, did you finish?
Sometimes it's hard to say who's because sometimes we see everything as almost
That
as like the same way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, having like a similar perspective or even like a similar lens, almost like a certain color glasses, so it's hard to like see everything differently.
Yeah.
Sora, Donald,
Um.
Goofy. We just met someone who was looking for you.
Sure seemed in a hurry. He had a black coat on, so I couldn't see his face. But he had
Yeah, and
these
because there's so many of us, our voices are
Mm.
helpful. So.
Alright. There was a little bit of that. So in that scene, first off, slight spoilers related to Chain of Memories. Sora was actually here in a simulated version of Twilight Town for a while. That was the first time that he met Hayner, Pence, and Olette. So keep in mind of that.
Do they actually exist?
Yeah,
Or were they
this
just
is the the
recreation.
true Twilight Town. No,
Oh.
this is not the simulation that Roxas was in anymore.
But does Hayner
Nor is this the simulation that Sora was in Chain of Memories.
was Honer and Olette and them exist in actual Twilight Town?
Yes, Hayner, Pence, and Olette, and like Zephyr, Setzer, everyone that lives here is
Exists.
actually part of the town.
Okay.
But everyone that Roxas knew was simulated.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
I know it hurts, bud.
Oh, did he see them?
Yeah.
Oh.
This scene I don't think that we need to worry about. Let's just get to the fighting.
What are these monsters called anyway?
These are the Nobodies.
Oh.
So there's different types of Nobodies. There's
It must be
these,
crazy
and then there's
seeing
ones
and not
like
understanding
Axel.
why you feel such sadness at the sight of them.
How are these kinds of nobodies formed?
All Nobodies are formed the same.
Okay.
When someone's heart is consumed by darkness and creates a heartless, a Nobody is formed.
Okay.
It's just that ones like Roxas, Axel, and a few others have a higher sense of sapience.
Okay.
And that takes a very strong will of the individual that led to the split into Heartless and Nobody
Yeah.
for a Nobody to have sapience. It is more... It seems to be a higher possibility of Nobodies to have sapience compared to Heartless. We have literally only seen one Heartless throughout this entire series
Who had
that
sapience.
has a sapience to the level of having a human form, that being Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness.
Mm.
Alright. Come on, buddy. There we go. Skip the cutscene. Yay! Oh, there's a crystal orb in the secret Ansem report. Alright. Here comes a scene that can help to give an example of emotional bleeding. I got you, bud. And perfect example, I am currently feeling it right now! God damn it. Sorry I was so cold before, something's been bugging me. We may not see each other for a while, so take care of yourself, okay? Oh, get the tickets. Let's see, come visit us again, we'll be in the usual spot. It's weird. I feel like I should see you off for some reason. Like I have to say bye to someone I've been waiting a long time to see.
Is there an explanation why they seem to be familiar when Roxas was in a simulation?
It may be that. It may be that.
Get the tissues, bitches.
I don't remember Chain of Memories all too well because I have never actually finished the whole game. But it may have been that either Nominee had to pull, because Nominee has been pulling the strings on bringing Sora's memories intact and also leading to the integration of Sora and Roxas. She is very much the manager or the gatekeeper of Sora's system if we're going to go very dissociative here. But with also, she is not only able to have influence on Sora, but also slightly on those who he has interacted with, or those in tandem, possibly also with Roxas. So, while it's either the versions from Castle Oblivion, from Sora's experiences in Castle Oblivion, or Roxas's experiences in the simulation that Nominee pulled some information from during the integration process, and that's why there's some confusion between Hangerpence and Olette.
Okay.
Wait, I'll ask the others if we're ready to leave. Oh. There we go. Okay. This is going to hurt. Oh, you laugh. But given the fact that we have established with this analysis, Roxas is an alter that was forced to integrate with Sora, with Diz being an absolute ableist of an asshole going,
Yeah.
we want Sora, he's not enough without you. Look at that.
You okay?
That is Roxas's tears.
Yeah. Don't know where it came from. Put together.
That is a definite example of emotional bleeding.
Yeah. And these were his friends.
Even though Roxas knows that this is not his true friends because he was in a simulation, the emotions and the memories that Roxas had are still there.
Yeah.
And why do y'all have to use this music? Fuck y'all.
I do not hear a thing.
This music.
This is
very
an emotional thing.
Yeah.
It could probably.
And y'all remember?
Oh, the rock. I mean the
Marble.
yes.
You know,
It's called
Colored
marble.
glass.
Yeah. And here, like, even Sora's acknowledging, like, he's sad. He doesn't know how else to describe it except he's sad. He doesn't have enough information to be able to process or recognize that what he feels is sadness, sure, but it's not his sadness, it's Roxas's. What?
guess that's that.
Oof. That was a...
Let's go.
Go where? It's not like we have homes to return to. We don't exist, remember?
Yes, it's true.
Do you feel so bad for Axel?
But there is some place I want to go. And
Awesome Robbie, thank you so much for the follow.
Awesome Robbie, thanks so much for the follow. I think actually after this cutscene, we may be good to end it for tonight, because that is all of the info. Oh.
You sure about this?
Oh, we just got some info there that I did not remember. Diz wants to also force Nominate to integrate because she is also a nobody. And Axel and this other gentleman here are trying to help her get away.
Nominee is
Nominee is also a nobody.
Nobody. And shoot, I forgot what was the other girl's name? Shoot.
Shion.
Shion? Was it Shion?
Oh, that means a flower, isn't it? Shion is a flower in Japanese.
Shion is an anagram of number like NO.1 with an X because all members of Organization 13 have an anagram of their original's name with an X. Roxas, Sora. Just add an X.
Okay. But Shion is also actually a name, I believe.
Yes.
And I could have sworn it was a kind of flower.
It may be, I don't know.
I know it from that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Oh.
One of the characters is named Shion.
Whew.
There goes our ride.
Yeah, I think this will be where we end it for this because we went through, without going into anything spoilery. Oh, insert animal noises here. You know what? Yeah, let's end.
Guy.
Let's end on a happy note and start bringing in some funny noises. Oh, I don't have a save point yet. Fuck.
Yeah, but let's look for a save point first.
So after this battle and dealing with P, I think we're going to end it for tonight because without having to go through the rest of the fucking game to the final world and meeting up with Roxas again, that's about as much info that we can get for a dissociative lens. And now we deal with the Heartless.
Which we will obliterate.
Yeah, because we're on beginner mode, so that we can get through the story. Here, you asshole! Here!
I should play at least 1 and 2 of freaking
What?
Kingdom Hearts.
What?
I should play at least 1 and 2 of Kingdom Hearts.
Well, if you have a working PS2,
No,
mine's still in the fucking shop.
I just have a gaming laptop.
No, I don't know why your shop takes forever for repairs.
It's because they're trying to get first party parts.
Which technically does not exist anymore.
Alright.
Fuck a PS2, just get a PS3.
Dude, I want my PS2 because I need a PS2. I don't have any PS3 games. And I have an OG copy of Final Fantasy VII that I still like to play. So, kind of need a backwards compatible PS2 in order to be able to do that. But yeah, okay.
PS3 would be better cause you can play PS2 and PS1 games on M.
Wait, on old school PS3 models you can do PS1 too? Shit. I did not know that.
I think you have to soft mod it.
Oh. I mean, I've done soft modding before on some stuff. Hooey. Anyway, who can we raid out to after this? Oh, you know what? I think we deserve a palate
Nah,
cleanser.
I just came that way far as
I
I
think
knew.
I know.
I think we deserve a palate cleanser. So, actually, let's switch to a different music. And we are going to raid out to someone who was very, very nice to give their input in the conversations. We are going to raid out to Pomtia Arts the Vitores. They are playing Stardew Valley, which I think would be a very nice way to calm down from tonight. We got into some really dark and sad topics, and I appreciate everyone that has hopped over. But I definitely do think that this will be a good way for everyone to calm down, let loose, and especially for me, because there's so many people like looming looming over in the cockpit right now. I'm not used to like this level of people around and the emotional bleeding that I am dealing with. So
Yeah,
I need
almost-
time to process.
Yeah, almost everyone came out.
Oh, you have no fucking idea. But yeah, let's get so.
I got attacked.
Before we officially send everyone
VC
out,
after stream.
maybe VC after stream. That's gonna be a maybe. I don't want to say a definitive yes or no, but I'll keep you posted on that, DBS. With that said, I will need help with doing the outro stuff. So, for anyone that was part of this and want to keep track with any other streams, feel free to check out the official Twitter or Discord. Do you know that, like my streams here, the Discord is 18+. Do you know that when you hop in, you have 10 minutes to verify that you have read the rules? Otherwise, you will be temporarily booted from the server. If you want to see any other socials, feel free to check out the link tree. If you want to dono to me or like financially support me in ways other than subscriptions or bits, feel free to do that via the Ko-fi, or you can also tip via going to the Stream Elements tip page. Could we get one final shout out for Blythe VT, who rated out to us? And then let's also get the raid message. Hooey.
How do you do Goliath BT?
Hold on.
Thanks for stream. Sorry I didn't talk much.
Hey, all good caffeine.
Still
Oh.
Okay, walk away. Yeah.
Here we go. Alright. So be sure to give Blythe a follow. Blythe is an absolute sweetheart. Let's get the version of... if this thing on my end will go away so that I can make the follower version. Well, this thing is being a little slow on my end. So for the sake of
Technology.
technology. Can't live with it, can't live without it. So, we'll just stick with the hearts for now, as much as I love the emotes that I made. Oh, actually, no, it looks like that it's getting close to finished up, because I've been tangenting. So, we finally have time to make the version of the raid message for followers, and then for subscribers. So let's go be sure to give the Vitoras some love. So we're going to raid out to... Alright. If I can spell their name right. Alright. Oh, hold on. I forgot an S. So hold on.
Ping me if you
Raid.
open VC or not.
Yes.
There we go. Alright, do know that while this is the end of stream, this is not the end of our time together, as the road to dust will always be open for another adventure. Thank you all so much for hopping over tonight. Please have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is in your time zone, as we say. Bye-bye!
Goodbye.